The Wild Wild West.
Well, this is a big one.
Special edition.
It's a special edition. Normally we're goofing around.
Yeah,
I've never been more ashamed to let somebody into our studio. As soon as he came in, I was like a lady. I was like, "Oh, sorry, it's so messy in here." We're here with Nick Bryant. He's the author of The Franklin Scandal and
Confessions of a Madam.
Yes, Confessions of a DC Madam.
Confessions of a DC Madam. The politics of sex, lies, and blackmail.
Yes.
Goddamn. Pull that mic
Nick,
over.
you speak a little more into the mic. So what you were just saying is how you got involved in the Franklin Scandal at the very beginning. So let's jump right in.
Yeah.
I was talking to an editor at Rolling Stone, and he said, "Pitch me dark stories." And I said, just kind of throwing my hands up in there. So, what do you want? Do you want a story on Nazis? Do you want a story on Satanists? I mean, what do you want? And he goes, "Satanists. That sounds good." So I started this whole odyssey, this very dark odyssey. I was talking to Satanists, and they struck me as they didn't strike me as very ethical people.
Yeah.
Actually quite unctuous. And I felt like I had to wash my hands, after I hung out with them.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then I was trolling the internet looking for subject matter. I mean, when you're going to write something, you try to get as much information as you can and then distill it. And then I came across a cult called the Finders that had been busted by the U.S. Customs for trafficking children. They had 6 kids in Tallahassee, Arizona, and some concerned citizens called Tallahassee Police Department, and the Tallahassee Police Department arrested the 2 finders and put the 6 kids in protective custody.
Yeah.
And the 2 finders were arraigned on multiple counts of child abuse, multiple counts, and they were held at $100,000 bond. I think it might have even been higher. And then 2 of the kids, according to the Tallahassee police report that I got, 2 of the kids have been sexually abused. And then the U.S. Customs got involved with it because there was child pornography. And they got a search warrant for the warehouse where the Finders lived, and they found child pornography.
And the warehouse is in like D.C., right?
Yes, in Washington, D.C. And they found all kinds of really unsavory things. And actually, the Finders had been connected to a murder, too. And all of a sudden, the CIA came in and quashed the entire case. And those 2 finders were just let out of jail, and those kids were repatriated with the cult. And I thought to myself, I kind of thought I knew how the world worked. But after I read that document, it just blew my mind. I mean, what have I missed as far as my understanding of the world? How is this even possible that the CIA goes to bat for some very strange people that are treating children nefariously? I mean, how does that happen? So that started my odyssey. That was in 2002, and I've been on this odyssey for the last 20 years.
Wow. Damn. So what did the editor say when you're like, I got something, when you came back with that? Rather than like run of the mill.
He said, Nick, let's just try to stick with Satanism.
What do you think when you how many Satanists have you talked to, and like what's their like life philosophy? Isn't it just pretty much like selfishness or like?
Well, I mean, there's different types of Satanists.
Because if that's the case, I might be a Satanist. I'm pretty selfish with my lifestyle.
Dude. You're not talking enough.
There's different types of Satanists, and they run the gamut. Some of them, it was very strange. Some of the Satanists that I talked to were really, really stupid, and some of them were really, really smart.
Yeah.
I didn't find any Satanists in between, but I was going to go to one of the black masses. It was a simple plan. I'm going to go to this black mass, and I'm going to write an article about it. And one of the high priest said I had to read this book written by one of the Satanists, the founder of that particular satanic sect. And I read the book, and I said, well, I read the book. And he said, well, you got to do this. And then I just, he was trying to lead me down this primrose path to to embracing Beelzebub, and I realized that they were actually proselytizing to me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really like a religion that I felt attracted to.
Sure.
Didn't you have to like eat like wasn't the
didn't you
part?
have to
Yeah,
eat like a cum
he
cookie?
was trying to get you to eat like.
Yes, well,
cum.
that was one of the problems.
Was your editor like, come on?
Yeah.
The host was the potentiated ministration and semen of the high priestess and then the priest.
On what? What
And
was the like
on like a floury wafer. With the Satanists, everything is like it's an anti-host,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
So and it's an anti-black mass, whatever. But well, that was the deal. If I read the book, I wouldn't have to take the anti-host.
Right.
And
Really? That was like if you don't read the.
Yeah,
Oh, that makes
well,
sense.
you read the book and you won't have to, but then I read the book and I
rather
said, I
just
read
eat
the
cum
book.
real
And I said,
quick.
no, you still have to take the anti-host. So,
Oh, what the fuck?
so I'm really up to, I like people to live up to their word. That's important to me. And it
Fucking
was
Satanists.
kind of apparent to me that the people in the darker fraternity didn't share his truth the way that I did.
But and you were at an ashram, right? When you were younger.
I lived in an ashram when I was 19 years old.
How'd you
ashram?
fall into that? It's like it's not necessarily Hindu, but it's
This
like
was a Hindu. This was
Okay.
a Swami. He was
Okay.
he was from India. He was
Swami.
He was a genuine Indian guru.
The Raiders.
When I was in my teens, I was really searching, and I tried all kinds of spiritual paths. And then I ended up living on this ashram with a genuine Indian guru. He was a Swami, which means he was celibate. And so I got there, and I was thirsty for knowledge. And then I was talking to the Swami one day, and I could have swore I smelled cigarettes on his breath. And I went to one of the people on the ashram, who I would later call the pod people. I said, I could have sworn I smelled cigarettes on Swami's breath. And he goes, yeah, well, see, the deal with that is he has to have one vice that keeps him tethered to this plane of reality so he can teach us. And now, needless to say, that didn't make a lot of sense to me. And then I found out that he was having sex with all these girls on the ashram. And then I found out he was embezzling money from his more affluent initiates. And I was thinking to myself, that guy must be really spiritually developed. if he's got to do all that just to stay on this plane of reality. I
think that's why I sold weed for
of
so long.
Yeah. That was a bit of a Swami.
No. Yeah, I always find that intriguing when people end up on because they seem like a cool place to live. It's just a place you would go rather than like a Christian youth thing. It would just be like
I'm fairly certain every single one of those is that.
What do you think?
I don't know if I've heard of one story.
You'll
about
be smirching all the masters.
I've never heard of one guru that wasn't definitely banging a bunch of the people.
Yes, that's what I concluded. Because I looked into a lot of different gurus after that, and they all have lower chakra problems.
Really?
Every guru has lower chakra. They're old, ugly Indian men, and then they're
trying to get Bob's in Begin, and they found the best way to get Bob's.
That's true.
And then they come here, and they have all these beautiful young American women who are spiritually starved, throwing themselves at these, and then it's too much temptation.
Yeah, how could they resist? How could they resist?
Yeah, it's like I found a
lower
book.
chakra.
I found a book in a used bookstore one time. They write really good books though. Like I read this was by a priest, and it was like one of the best little books on spirituality I ever read. And I'm like, I got to Google this guy, pedophile. I was like, motherfucker.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Well, I read Rama's books, and I was really fascinated by them, and so that's why I ended up at that ashram.
So what do you want to get into first here? Because I read the beginning of I read about half of the Franklin Scandal. And like I said, I was falling asleep. I listen to audiobooks at night. So I was listening to the Franklin Scandal at night, and it was fucking me up. Like every night I was like, Jesus Christ. And then I would start, I never went to sleep. I would just start Googling things like the Finders. Immediately I started Googling that. And then I started going into like Pizzagate because it was in DC and they were attracting this. Like, then I was like, is Pizzagate real? Like, it just every time I started reading, is Pizzagate real?
I have no idea on that one. I'm agnostic towards pizza. With my philosophic training, I studied philosophy in college. I try to approach everything agnostically. I really try not to make judgments on something, even though it may seem like a tautological truth. I try to withhold judgment. And with Pizzagate, I'm agnostic.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But with the Finders, it was the same. I mean, I was listening to you talk about it, but it was the same thing where it's like once you explain, like 6 children were found with 2 dudes in suits. Were they wearing like suits?
Yeah.
The children are all malnourished enough so that just a regular person called the cops when they saw them.
Concerned citizens.
And then they got
Yeah.
nothing. It was like, yo, this is very weird. And then,
there's no way they were like, no, we're just making sure they're good. We just like to dress nice, and we
they're
didn't
like,
have the
who
budget
are the
for their
kids?
clothes yet.
And the guys wouldn't talk, right? When they were getting
They had
interrogated.
the card ready, to be like,
And one guy actually went unconscious when the police started to grill him.
he went into a satanic trance.
he played
I don't know
possum.
if it was satanic, but he just went
What?
unconscious. Yeah,
It's a good way to resist.
it's in the U.S.
I might do that to my wife.
Just dead weight. She starts talking to you. Get a
You
card.
might have to hook your wife up with the Finders, which I know might be I don't know if I'd advise that, but you never know.
That is crazy because you do that. There's a lot of people, I'm sure you know this, who are delighted in being like, that's all a bunch of bull. They don't want to hear any of it whatsoever. But that's like, how much of it is like as you say, like some of it's conjecture, some of it is like how much of the stuff you've done is like ends in kind of like some nebulous weird stuff, or like what's like factual anyone could take and be like, this actually happened.
I mean, the Franklin scandal, I was very, very cautious with it and very, very careful. I wanted to nail everything because I knew what I was, the book that I was writing was so antithetical to people's mundane reality that it was going to be met with a lot of skepticism.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what happened with me with the Franklin scandal is I was able to score, like there were 3 grand juries that covered it up. There were 2 grand juries in Nebraska and 1 grand jury in Washington, D.C. Now, I don't know if your viewers are familiar with the grand jury, but grand juries are infamous for covering things up. Actually, like there was a grand jury in Florida looking into Epstein that said that Epstein hadn't molested a single child. What happens in a grand jury is a special prosecutor is chosen, and then grand jurors are just regular people that have come in to do jury duty, and they've been funneled to a grand jury. And it's not adversarial. The special prosecutor picks the evidence that is shown to the grand jurors and calls the witnesses. So special prosecutors have a tremendous amount of power over grand jurors. And actually, there was a New York judge that had a famous quip that grand jurors have so much power, or special prosecutors have so much power over grand jurors that they could get them to indict a ham sandwich. Yeah. So with the Franklin,
I've indicted a few of those.
With the Franklin scandal, those 2 grand juries in Nebraska said that not a single child had been abused.
Yeah,
and
I read the article you sent as far as like, I know this is gross detail, but one of the reasons they were able to discount the children who said they were molested by Epstein was one of them said he used a purple vibrator and another one said he used a white vibrator. So they were like, well, these 2 are lying.
What?
Yeah, I mean,
like he's just a one vibrator.
Something like that.
They only called one of the victims.
Okay.
One of the underage victims. And it was obvious that was a cover-up job.
Yeah.
And it's really a shame that most Americans, because when you think of a grand jury, you think the gods of jurisprudence have spoken, but that's not the case at all. It's just a special prosecutor that's been chosen to show grand jurors what he thinks is compelling evidence.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of cover-ups take place, is in grand juries. And then everything is sealed in a grand jury. And what happened with me is I was able to get everything. I was able to get the sealed testimony, and I was able to get the sealed exhibits from one of the corrupt grand juries in Nebraska, which at that point, I was able to write the book. And like I had a list of 60 victims. So it was up to me to find the victims. And that was tough because a lot of those kids, and you see it with Epstein too, you see it with a lot of pedophile networks, a lot of the kids come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds and dysfunctional families, and that makes them ripe for predators. In this case, with the Franklin scandal, Lawrence King, and also Craig Spence, and with Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, and all the predators that were around him. So finding them was very, very difficult because a lot of them had just dropped off the plane just dropped off the planet because these kids were from really dysfunctional backgrounds, poor backgrounds, and they were given money and repeatedly molested. And then once they lost their youthful marketability, they were expunged by the network. And they went on to become criminals to support. They were all drug addicts.
Yeah.
Or most of them were drug addicts. So they became criminals and then they ended up in prison. So it was very difficult to find a lot. A lot of them never really used their social security numbers. So, and I found them in projects. I found one in a homeless shelter. I found one in a prison. I mean, they were difficult to find.
Yeah, messed up.
Yeah, what are they, how, like, are they, like, excited to talk to you, or are they just kind of like, who are you, or, like, how did you get to, like, have them actually talk to you about this stuff?
Well, you've got to be patient and you've got to be compassionate. I mean, I was very compassionate to all the victims that I met because of what they've been through. And it's a matter of trust. I mean, you've got to build up trust with them. Sometimes the trust comes immediately, and sometimes it takes a while to build up the trust. But once you build trust with them, they will, tell you about the worst horrors of their life.
So let's get what happened with the Franklin scandal.
So with the Franklin scandal, it was a large interstate pedophile network that was that flew kids from coast to coast, but a lot of and I also got flight receipts, like 200 flight receipts. A lot of the planes that they rented or chartered went to Washington, D.C. And in Washington, D.C., there was a lobbyist power broker named Craig Spence. And he was a CIA asset, and his house was wired for audiovisual blackmail. I get into his reality pretty heavily in Confessions of a DC Madam, and I also get into it in the Franklin scandal, but a little more in Confessions of a DC Madam.
Well, so, Guardian, does his mic have to move up a little bit towards him?
Tiny bit.
Just you can slide this thing down. Let me see.
The Wild Wild West.
Right.
So these pedophile parties would happen at Craig Spence's mansion in the Kalorama section of Washington, D.C. And it would be like pretty much a straight political party initially, where there would be Washington, D.C. literati and glitterati and power brokers and politicians.
Clarence Thomas.
They would attend these parties. But then, like maybe at 10 o'clock or something, someone would fire up a joint or something sexually inappropriate would happen. And these people have been plied with alcohol. So if someone wanted to stick around for the after party, then they would be compromised.
So you see, like, the level of grease a person could handle. Like,
Yes.
the girls would come out,
They would get me.
bust out a line. Yeah.
I'd be hammered doing. Yeah, they'd get me.
So it's,
They'd get me.
You don't want to say that.
I'm truthful. I only deal in truth.
so
They would get me, dude.
So didn't it go all the way back to, like, to the start of the Franklin scandal stuff? It went back to Vietnam, supposedly.
Well,
that was
King
like
and the two primary pimps, Lawrence King and Craig Spence. King, during Vietnam, King was in Thailand with a security clearance, a top security clearance, and Craig Spence was in Vietnam as a reporter for ABC. So they were both in Thailand at the same time. I'm surmising that, and this is just my surmise, I'm surmising that both of them were molesting kids in Southeast Asia. And then ultimately the dark corner of intelligence that does this type of stuff got a hold of them and said, you can either do time or you can work for us.
Yeah.
Because when both came back to the United States of America, I mean, they were both from working class families, and all of a sudden their careers just went exponentially high. So I'm thinking that was probably the deal that they made while they were in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's the Franklin scandal because Larry King was in.
Lawrence
was
E. King
Omaha.
Owned he was the general manager of the Franklin Credit Union.
Yeah.
And it was like his personal ATM. When it's kind of interesting, the feds, you're supposed to be audited every year if you run a credit union, but he hadn't been audited in 4 years. So shortly after George Herbert Walker Bush won the presidency, the Franklin Credit Union was raided by IRS and FBI, and there was $40 million missing. But basically, that credit union was a cash machine for Lawrence King, but it was also a front for this interstate pedophile network that they ran together.
And he was definitely pimping.
Absolutely, both he and Craig Spence were pimping. And
ABC reporter?
Yes, Craig Spence was the guy who ended up in Washington D.C.
Oh shit!
So
he was the one who was having the parties.
Oh, so that was the guy who was hosting the functions.
I mean the parties were all over, but Spence's the intelligence, like I said, the dark corner of intelligence that does this type of stuff had installed the cameras, the hidden cameras. And Epstein, now this is kind of interesting. Maria Farmer, who worked for Epstein, said that Epstein showed her the secret room where men, as in plural, were monitoring all these monitors, and that all the bedrooms and all the bathrooms had hidden cameras. So that setup was very much like the setup in Craig Spence's house, where both places were wired for audiovisual blackmail.
Yeah, so Craig Spence was the Epstein of this particular story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. He was the party boy.
He was the party boy.
Cool guy. He was a cool guy.
He was a cool guy, dude.
He was a cool guy at the operation.
He was. Craig Spence was the Prince of Darkness.
Yeah.
Was he into Satanism too?
I do not know.
Well, I mean, I guess kind of. Yeah.
I do not know, but nothing
He's a good
about
Christian.
That guy was a pure psychopath, so nothing that he would do would surprise me. He was a pedophile, a psychopath, a drug addict.
Jesus.
And he was, I mean, the cream of the crop in Washington, D.C. politics would go to his parties. And
isn't that strange? Yeah, isn't that kind of weird? The same thing with who was it when Gates had to go to Epstein for like funding or whatever? It's always strange. Like,
well, you know, the thing about Gates and Epstein is there's an article from the Evening Standard, the cover story. There's so many problems with the Epstein cover story, but there's an article from the Evening Standard from the UK that says that Spence or Epstein and Gates were doing business in the 90s, that their relationship went back to the 90s.
Really?
So if that's true, everything that we've been sold about Gates and Epstein is all bullshit, which wouldn't surprise me at all.
Makes sense.
Because with Epstein, the media has just been into digging up salacious dirt. They haven't been screaming. The Epstein article that I wrote, which no major magazine would touch, called for justice. All these kids were molested. We need justice. And but that doesn't seem to be a priority. And the Franklin Network was much bigger than Spence's network. The Franklin Network, I think, was around for about 12 years, and Epstein's network was around for about 25 years. But the Franklin Network was bigger, and I thought it was a kinder, gentler pedophile network initially, but then I've come to believe that because the Franklin Network, a lot of those kids were pandered to sadistic pedophiles, and there was a lot of pornography made. Child pornography. And I think the same thing was happening with Epstein.
Oh, you're saying that you thought the Epstein one was quote unquote gentler?
Yes. But now that I've gotten to know the Epstein network pretty well, Epstein was pandering girls under the age of 10 to 8-year-olds that I'm aware of. But I'm sure that there were more. And he was also pandering these girls to really sadistic pedophiles. Or some of the clients were very sadistic pedophiles.
Yeah, because didn't his first case get sealed in the same? Was that sealed in a grand jury as well?
Yeah, that was the one in Florida.
Yeah, that was one. Epstein was like, he got in trouble.
I could be wrong here, but it was like, it was going to be tried like a regular trial. And then Rick, what's the guy's name? He came in and said, no, let's make it a grand jury. So it was sealed.
Well, that was Barry Kirshner, the state attorney. What happened there was a 14-year-old girl went to the Palm Beach Police Department with her parents, and she said that she'd been molested by Jeffrey Epstein. And the Palm Beach, and she described Epstein, she described his house, she described his anatomy, and the Palm Beach Police Department started a year-long investigation into Epstein at that point. And what happened after that year investigation is that they felt like they had statements from 5 victims, and then they had 12 corroborating statements.
Yeah.
So they were immediately going to arraign him on 5 counts of child abuse. But then that case got taken away by Barry Kushner in the state of Florida. And then there was a grand jury, which is very strange because usually grand juries in Florida are reserved for capital cases. Mm-hmm. So, and then that grand jury found that Jeffrey Epstein hadn't molested a single child. And only one of, and here's the thing with that. The Palm Beach Police Department had the statements of 5 underage victims, but they were aware of 17 more. So there were 20, the Palm Beach Police Department was aware of 23 underage victims. And that prosecutor only called 1. So it's very obvious to me that that was a cover up.
Jeez. And then the matter was sealed. But didn't he have a sex offense under his belt after that or something?
Well, here's what happened. So when that grand jury came back and said that Jeffrey Epstein hadn't molested a single child, Michael Ryder, who was one of the heroes in this story, he was the chief of the Palm Beach Police Department. He got very vociferous. He raised Cain. He said, and he went to the feds, and they said, this is obvious malfeasance by this grand jury, and you've got to do something about it. So the feds were going to get into it. They were going to arrest Jeffrey Epstein. Well, they were talking that there was going to be a grand jury, and then all of a sudden the grand jury was adjourned, and there was this really unctuous deal made. And I've got the emails between the assistant U.S. attorney and one of Epstein's attorneys, Jay Lefkowitz, and Anne-Marie Villafana was the assistant U.S. attorney. And they're talking about how they can minimize Epstein's sentence. And then one of the emails says, and the deal that they made was so corrupt that they had to go to a special magistrate to sign off on it. And basically what that deal did is it exonerated everyone. It exonerated the procurers. It exonerated the perpetrators. Jeffrey Epstein had to plead guilty to a single count of child abuse. He was sentenced to 18 months in a county jail. He did 13, and he had his little wing of the jail decked out like the Taj Mahal. So, he could go out during the day. So he was molesting girls during the day while he was, supposedly doing.
No.
He was doing
time.
like nights there?
Yeah,
weekends?
he only had to spend nights.
What?
there.
What?
Yeah.
Also, and this was 2008. He got arrested. He did serve time technically in 2008 for what, like 13 of the 18 months.
Yeah, he did 13. But here's the deal with
he
that.
kept hanging out with all these people.
But here's the
Yeah,
deal
that's what
with
I'm
that.
saying. Yeah. BG
Okay.
was hanging out with him after
Bill
that.
Gates was still chilling.
Yeah.
The feds had a list of 32 Epstein victims. 32. And they did nothing with any of that. And according to Alexander Acosta, who is the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of Florida, he was told to back away from Epstein because Epstein was quote unquote intelligence. So, and to the kind of power that is required to get a U.S. attorney to stand down can be done by 2 people. It can be done by the attorney general. It can be done by the president. Damn. So that's how high the strings were pulled. The same with Franklin. The strings were pulled at the very apex of power.
Jesus, man. That's terrifying. That's fucking terrifying.
It doesn't speak well of our society.
Yeah, I want to see you on Good Morning America. I mean,
Yeah. But I don't know, isn't it just, they're just clearly intelligence? Like there's no real debate here anymore, right?
Well, it's kind of interesting.
How else could this be done?
New York Magazine conscripted 6 quote unquote experts on Epstein. And I was one of them. And I cut my teeth with Epstein in 2012, and I acquired his black book in 2012. And I tried to sell an article about his black book, and nobody in the mainstream media wanted to touch it. Finally, Gawker touched it, and then we put his black book up on the internet along with a bunch of his
with all the names and stuff.
What was in the black book?
The names went to Mount Olympus.
Yeah.
in the Black Book. He had like 22 contact numbers for Clinton and 17 contact numbers for.
Why would they keep a book? I don't understand why they would keep a record of that.
Probably so you don't get killed in prison.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It's, people like that are very arrogant and they think that they can get away with
True,
everything.
yeah.
I mean, they've had Jeffrey Epstein had been trafficking children probably since 1995, and actually he was the first time he was reported was 1996 to the FBI, and nothing happened. So he thought that he could do anything he wanted.
Yeah.
And the one thing that was interesting, the guy who got the Black Book, who took it out of there, who took it out of Epstein's possession, I think he got 18 months in jail. He got the same punishment as Epstein did
for moving the book.
Except he had to go to
except
he had to go to a real prison, a federal prison.
Federal prison.
What?
It's
the guy who stole the Black Book. Yeah,
and
I'll let him tell it.
Alfredo Rodriguez purloined. He was Epstein's house manager and purloined the book, and it ultimately, and then he tried to sell it to a lawyer that was launching civil suits at Epstein because he was representing these underage victims, and it's pretty interesting. So Alfredo Rodriguez approached the lawyer. The lawyer went to the FBI. The FBI did a sting and got the Black Book. And then that's kind of how I got the Black Book. Can't really give out the source, but Alfredo Rodriguez circled the names of people that he felt were part of Epstein's network. And there's a lot of names that are circled. And it's kind of interesting. Virginia Giuffre, who was one of Epstein's victims, has named a number of the same people in her lawsuit documentation.
Who were some of those people? If you
she named Ehud Barak, Alan Dershowitz, and both of them are circled. Prince
Henry, right?
Prince Andrew. He's got multiple contacts, but I don't think his name was circled. Let me see. A couple of former mayor or governors of New Mexico, Bruce King and Bill Richardson, were circled. And the thing about Richardson, he was also Clinton's energy czar. So, and then a number of big time financiers were circled too. So it was like with the Franklin scandal, it was the cream of the crop of our society.
Jesus.
Unfortunately, the upper crust is a bunch of dough held together by crumbs, or a bunch of crumbs held together by dough. Yeah. I got that one.
So there's a link been, I guess so. The link's been made between the CIA or like, does anyone even know what they do besides like doing like sex traps? Like what else is, why are they doing that? I mean, obviously to like trap people up, but like
power.
Yeah.
It's all about power.
Yeah.
And the CIA started with a mandate when Harry Truman originally started the CIA. It was a precarious time. Joseph Stalin had the hydrogen bomb. And Joseph Stalin was someone who had zero appreciation of humanity. But what happened there was the CIA started its own funding mechanisms, and then also the honey traps, because they felt it was too important, that fighting communism was too important to be left to politicians. So that's where this really dark part of the CIA comes in. Yeah. Is the various types of schemes to make money, and then also the honey traps.
Yeah. Did you talk about William Colby at all?
In the Franklin scandal, I do talk about William Colby.
Who's William Colby?
He was director, I think.
He was the former director of the CIA. And actually, there was in the Church hearing, there was a senator named Frank Church in 1977 who wanted to blow the lid open on a lot of the CIA's nefarious activities, and he did a lot. And there were two. William Colby was called, and Dick Helms was called. Richard Helms. Richard Helms was the then director of the CIA, and Colby had been the former director of the CIA. And Colby really showed people how nefarious the CIA was, some of the stuff that it was doing. But Helms kept his mouth shut. And what's interesting with Colby is he was actually conscripted. The Franklin Committee, what happened when Lawrence King was busted embezzling $40 million and wasn't charged with a single count of child abuse, there was a Franklin Committee that formed that was part of, it was the Nebraska Senate. It was a subcommittee of the Nebraska Senate. And they had a very good investigator. His name was Gary Caradori. And a lot of the evidence that I have comes from Gary Caradori, like the list of the 60 victims that I had, that came from Gary Caradori. The flight receipts that I got, that came from Gary Caradori. All this was put into a grand jury and sealed, but a lot of he was an amazing investigator. And his plane, what happened, the FBI was hunting for him. I mean, here was the hunter became the prey, because he was finding victims and he was finding all kinds of stuff that was corroborating these kids. And these kids were coming forward and being videotaped. And if the dominoes had started to fall in Nebraska, they would have fallen all the way to Washington, D.C. So it had to be covered up at all costs. And Gary Caradori realized that the FBI was trying to put him away for scripting what these kids were saying. I mean, it was, none of the kids said that, but the FBI was, what the FBI did in Nebraska was very, very nefarious. Threatening perpetrators, threatening victims. So what Caradori realized that he needed blackmail pictures, that was going to be absolute proof what was going on. And he got a hold of a blackmail photographer named Rusty Nelson. And they met in Chicago. And I've got 5 corroborations on this, that Rusty gave him pictures in Chicago. And Gary Caradori was flying back to Nebraska, and his plane blew up in midair. And then that was pretty much, and then the grand juries came out, shortly thereafter and said that there was no child abuse. And there's that Chinese proverb, kill one man, silence 1,000. Well, with this case, it was kill one man and his son and silence, 10,000, because nobody was willing to come forward after that, especially after the state and the feds had said that there was no child abuse. But the Franklin subcommittee hired William Colby to look into the death of Gary Caradori. And he didn't say that Gary Caradori had been assassinated publicly, but he did tell people that were affiliated with the committee that Gary Caradori had definitely been assassinated.
Damn.
So, and there were a lot of other suspicious deaths in the Franklin scandal. I mean, every chapter there's a strange death or two. Pseudo suicides and things like that. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man, that's nuts. And the Rusty guy, that's the guy you were driving with and got pulled over with?
Yes, I was. I myself was looking for blackmail pictures, and which I don't know if that was very prudent, but I was. And Rusty said that he had some. Now, Rusty is a guy that he takes blackmail pictures of adults and children engaged in sexual
How do you get into that?
I guess.
Yeah, how do you get into it?
Water rises to its own level, I guess. I mean, it's like, so I relationship would be too strong, but I forged kind of an alliance with Rusty because he was having a lot of problems with legal problems. And I said that I would help pay for his legal bills. All he had to do was provide me with blackmail pictures, which he said he had. So he took me on a wild goose chase to get blackmail pictures, and we didn't get any. And then I was driving him home on this desolate highway, and we got pulled over. And I started the Franklin scandal out with this is the cops, I show the cops my ID, and he doesn't even look at it. He says, get out of the car. Yeah. And then he deposits me in his car, and then and then he runs me through and I'm clean, but then he runs Rusty Nelson through, and then there's a lot of numbers after him, and I'm sure that they weren't nice numbers. So they take Rusty out and then they rip apart the car that I rented, and all they found was my ginseng root. So that was about it. But Rusty gave me a lot of insight. I would never use Rusty as a sole source, but Rusty gave me a lot of insight because one day I asked him, how does this work? And he said, it's like you're on a yacht and it's a beautiful day and you can have anything you want on this yacht. But if you decide to get off the yacht, the people on the yacht are going to make sure that you drown. So once you are compromised, there's zero motivation to come forward. And it's very interesting. I wrote about, in Confessions of a DC Madam, I picked out some politicians who had been obviously compromised. One was Larry Craig. And Larry Craig was a very conservative representative and then senator. And he was in Washington, D.C. for 25 years. And he had the worst record of voting against gay rights, I believe, in the Senate, if not the worst, certainly up there. But he was getting gay escorts from Henry Vincent, who ran an escort service. Henry was the guy who I wrote the book with, Confessions of a D.C. Madam. So Craig was getting escorts from Henry, and then he was getting escorts from elsewhere because Kirby Dick's film Outrage talks about Craig getting escorts elsewhere. And then Craig was busted in an airport bathroom in Minneapolis trying to pick up a vice squad cop. So here's a U.S. senator. Here's a U.S. senator trying to pick up someone in a bathroom. I mean, a U.S. So how hard would it be to compromise that guy?
Yeah, true.
I mean, a kid doing an after-school project with a smartphone could compromise Larry Craig.
So wait, he was in an airport?
Easily.
He was in an airport.
His flight get delayed. He was like, you know what?
It's kind of interesting.
The old foot tap in the bathroom.
Yeah, it was the foot tap because I'm from Minneapolis and I've been to that airport innumerable times. And I was going to the bathroom once in one of the stalls and somebody next to me was slapping his foot on the ground. And I was thinking to myself, poor guy, he's got to have like a neurological disorder or something.
You wanted to play.
Yeah, he saw your shoes.
Now, an interesting guy is...
Thought you were fair game. I would have been pissed.
And this is kind of interesting. Dennis Hastert he was the Speaker of the House for 7 years. From, I believe, 1999 to 2006. And he was a strong arm specialist, but he was a pedophile. He had been molesting kids going back 4 years. And there was a whistleblower named Sibel Edmonds who talked about Hastert because the FBI knew about Hastert going to a house of ill repute while he was Speaker of the House, a town in Chicago. So the FBI knew that Hastert was a pedophile, or chances are they knew that he was a pedophile. And for some inexplicable reason, they took him down. I don't know why the feds took him down and he had to do some time. The only thing that I can think of is he was getting too greedy and he was told to back off because he had a lobbying business that just exploded exponentially, especially with Turkey. So we don't really know the exact mechanisms of what he did to be taken down, but it was very strange, that whole thing. And then everything was sealed and there was gag orders. So I was really looking very hard into Hastert, but I just couldn't get any information at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the thing you're saying about the guys getting on to like the special crews. If you're like a rising star politically, you're probably feeling pretty good. You're like, I'm the man, I'm making money now, all this stuff. And then someone's like, hey, come hang with the big boys. You smoke a joint with them, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like a girl comes out and like, yeah, by the way, she was 15.
Yeah, you get done and they're like, yeah, she was 16.
Yeah.
It's like,
we own you now.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, it's that easy.
Yeah.
And when you think about like our politicians, they've got a potent psychological alchemy of power, lust, and arrogance. And nothing makes people stupid like arrogance and lust.
Yeah.
I mean, really smart people do unbelievably stupid
Why are you
things
pointing to me?
because of arrogance and lust. So,
Arrogance and lust.
Yeah, that's
And-
nuts. And then if you don't play ball, they can probably just block you out altogether anyway. If you're like, no, that stuff's not for me, they're like, all right,
Yeah,
well,
I
this
think-
guy's gonna lose. Fuck him.
Yeah.
but I've been in this realm for 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And what Americans don't understand is that many of our politicians are compromised.
Mm-hmm.
And take Epstein for an instance. With Epstein, he was blackmailing some of the most powerful men in the world. He had hidden cameras. When the Palm Beach Police Department searched his home in Palm Beach, they found hidden cameras. He had hidden cameras in his New York residence that Maria Farmer talked about, where multiple men were looking at the monitors. And his island was also wired for audiovisual blackmail. So so he was blackmailing people. And what people don't understand is a guy like Jeffrey Epstein, a guy who he's from a blue collar family in Coney Island. He's a college dropout. A guy like that cannot blackmail some of the most powerful men in the world because they have access. A lot of them have access to thugs and organized crime. Like Les Wexner is heavily enmeshed in organized crime.
Who's
And
that?
He was the billionaire. He owned Victoria's Secret. He was the billionaire that gave Jeffrey Epstein millions of
Oh,
dollars.
right, yeah.
And if Epstein was in fact
He owned Victoria's Secret and he still had to go to the pedophile parties.
it's
It's like, bro, you have it.
I mean, your
Well,
store, just the mannequins
I would just
alone, that's
whack
enough
off
for
in the
me.
mall.
Yeah,
I'd be like, let me
Just
in the
the
mall at night.
Yeah, just the mannequins alone.
I mean, he's a old, frightening, scary looking dude.
What?
I mean, if I was a young woman and he showed up, I mean, I'd split. But anyway,
Yeah.
so there's no way that Epstein could have been blackmailing these people by himself.
Right.
There was obviously a large organization behind him that said to these people that were blackmailed, and Spence had the same thing with the Franklin scandal. If you come after this guy, there's going to be huge retribution, and that's what kept, I believe, Jeffrey Epstein alive.
How
makes sense.
many types of those organizations do you think are running? Because I mean, they caught Epstein,
Yeah.
but how many of those do you think? Like, I mean, that has to be a pretty consistent.
Yes, I think that networks like that are ubiquitous in the United States of America. Because of the writing that I've done the last 20 years, a lot of people have talked to me about these networks, and they want me to investigate them. And I'm only one guy.
Yeah.
So, I tell them, I don't know if I can really help, because you can tell when you see major judicial malfeasance. That can be an indication that there's a network there.
Oh, yeah.
It was so yeah. What I was talking earlier, like in central Pennsylvania, there was the Penn State, the
Yes,
Jerry Sandusky
right.
thing. There was I think a district attorney that was looking into the case years before, and he vanished.
Yes,
I mean,
he
there's
was.
yeah.
He was found. He vanished. His car was found by, I think, a lake,
The river. I think the Susquehanna River.
And I did talk to a prosecutor under him, and she believed that Jerry Sandusky was part of a pedophile network. She really believed that, and she believed that prosecutor had also been murdered too.
It sounded like
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like it because it was from the Second Mile Foundation, which was a lot like Boys Town.
Yes,
It was for troubled kids.
Yeah.
Jerry Sandusky was doing this, but then this is a weird story. I was at the first game Joe Paterno didn't coach. So it was the week after that story broke.
You went to that game?
I went to that game. I was pretty excited about it, but we were supposed to go. I went to a Second Mile dinner.
What?
A dude that was high up at Merrill Lynch, I think,
Uh-huh.
or one of those, Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
We went to his house. He was a Penn State alumni. I don't want to besmirch him because he might not have been a pedophile.
Oh, yeah.
But it was supposed to be a Second Mile dinner with like Joe Paterno, Sandusky, like all these guys.
What?
And then I was walking around his giant mansion. It's just a picture of him with every single president, all these things.
Really?
I don't know. It's just like you can see the political power these dudes have.
Yeah.
They have that power. And then the one guy who's friends with all them is doing exactly what they were doing in the Franklin scandal, which is getting kids out of a orphanage type situation and banging them. He was
a lower
that's not the best way to say it.
lower
He was
socioeconomic.
really good on the work.
yeah. Predators know how to
And then
prey.
a district attorney just vanished. Was it a district attorney who
Yeah,
vanished?
I
What?
can't think of his name, but yes,
They found his laptop and the hard drive was taken out of it.
I mean, dude.
Like it was like, yeah.
that was that there's indications that was a network. But I pursued that for quite some time, I got pretty close to somebody who could help corroborate it, but I couldn't nail it. So, and that's the thing, investigations like this, like the Franklin scandal, it took 7 years to investigate that. And I've been investigating Epstein since 2012. I'm ready to write a really good book on Epstein. I'm finishing up one book, and I'd like to write because so many of
Keep that quiet till it's out.
so many of the books on Epstein have been Epstein light, like Filthy Rich on Netflix.
Yeah.
That Netflix show was like terrible. I turned it off.
Was it really? I didn't even watch
Dude, they
it.
don't even come close.
Really?
They do the same thing with Sandusky, where they're like, "Yeah, it was just one guy. We got him." It's like, no.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I never thought about the grand jury thing before. That is kind of an indicator. Be like, well, let's do like a special trial for this guy. It's like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know what those things were, to be honest. I thought that was like, ooh, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Americans have no idea about grand juries
Yeah.
and how easy they are to corrupt. So it's unfortunate that so many Americans are unaware of so many things
Yeah.
about their judiciary.
It's
Fine, no
also
clue.
it's like the same reason people weren't taking your articles. It's like people don't want to they don't want to know.
Yeah.
Like if I told this to my dad, he'd be like, "What?
Yeah.
Shut up!" Like he'd be like,
Yeah.
I don't want to even think about this."
Yeah, or like there's creeps out there.
Yeah.
But
There's only one member of my family that reads anything I write. So
People don't want.
I mean, but if you want to be an ostrich and stick your head in the sand, I mean, the evil is only going to get larger and larger and
Yeah.
larger. I mean, and that's the problem. As I said earlier, a huge problem has been the media. The media was into digging up salacious dirt, and that was it. No one called for any kind of justice. The New York Times did an article that named 6 procurers, aka pimps, and the only one that's been indicted is Maxwell.
yeah.
So there, and if Epstein was an actual trial, if there was jurisprudence that wasn't corrupted, those procurers, and we know more than 6, but you could start with those 6. Those 6 procurers would be indicted on multiple counts of child trafficking. A count of child trafficking is anywhere from 15 years to life. So you could rack up, they could all be looking at 1,000 years or whatever, and then you'd get them to flip on the perps. I mean, that's how the mafia was taken down.
Yeah.
You get the lower people on the lower echelon to flip on the higher echelon and reduce their sentences. But there's been none of that. Ghislaine Maxwell is, and the Ghislaine Maxwell trial was such a travesty of justice. The girls or women now who really knew a lot about the network and who were molested by some very powerful people, none of them were called. It was just the only victims that were called, and I think it was only 4, were molested by just Epstein and Maxwell.
Has Maxwell been sentenced to anything yet?
No, she has not been sentenced, and there's that judicial problem of one of the jurors saying that he'd been molested, and Maxwell, I don't know how that's winding right now, but the whole thing, everything about Epstein, there's nothing rational about it. Nothing makes sense. Laws of the land have just been thrown in the toilet and flushed.
How did you feel when he committed suicide allegedly? Did you know that was coming, or because it seemed like everyone was like they're gonna kill him, and then one day the cameras didn't work and the guards took a break.
Well, the guards took a break. The cameras didn't work. I mean, it's
Probably
certainly,
when you fix the cameras.
True.
Like, damn, the cameras broke. Oh, damn it.
it's certainly very suspicious.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever been more of a clear somebody killed him case.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a guy in prison that the whole world was saying they're gonna kill him.
Oh, yeah.
And then one day, I mean, they knew, the guards knew, this guy's a risk. And then one day, again, the cameras didn't work and the guards were taking a walk.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot of anomalies. His cellmate was taken out of the cell.
I didn't even know he had a cellmate.
Yeah, he had a cellmate.
What?
And,
The guy got taken out of the cell and then he.
Yeah.
So crazy.
That must have been crazy. Like, what are you in here for? Like,
Yeah.
well, if you watch
And
it,
actually,
tricked
his
Bill Clinton
cellmate
into
had
fucking
been
a 14-year-old.
his cellmate had been a multiple murderer at one point,
What?
a former police officer. And
Whoa.
they took him out. And what's kind of interesting, William Barr, our illustrious attorney general, who helped. Now, this is kind of interesting. And this is where Franklin and Epstein connect. William Barr was Bush 1's attorney general after Richard Thornburg ran for the Senate. And Barr helped cover up the Franklin scandal. And then Barr played an integral role in covering up the Epstein scandal.
damn.
And Barr said when Epstein killed himself, heads are going to roll, and no heads rolled. And actually, the warden of that particular Metropolitan Correctional Facility in New York, she was given a cushy job in New Jersey. That she was
What?
Yeah, I mean, so
Thornburg, by the way, wasn't he Harrisburg's governor? Pennsylvania?
Thornburg was Pennsylvania.
Hey, that links
governor of
second mile.
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Really? What about Ed
There's
Rendell?
Sandusky.
What about Ed Rendell?
He hasn't come up, but Thornburg definitely helped cover up
Spot.
the Franklin scandal.
Thornburg
And then-
helped that? Yeah, see?
and then Barr. And
What?
Then, and then Barr. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Thornburg is. I believe that Thornburg is a pretty dirty politician.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
What is
The guy whose house I was at, I was
Oh,
with.
is that what?
Nothing. This is getting too close. Now I'm part of the
Part of the
I
cabal.
know, I'm part of the thing now.
Damn.
Yeah, the reason I was there was the guy I was with he worked with Thornburg.
What?
And we were at a second mile.
Dude.
See, this is what happens when I listen to this.
You start getting,
I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, you get it's unsettling.
Yeah.
It is weird though, because when you do boil it down to like you think about like little kids, it's just heartbreaking. But it's been politicized. The issue of sex trafficking, I would say, is kind of pursued more by people who lean to the right politically for some reason.
Well, actually, there's the feminist left and the religious right are equally against sex trafficking.
Yeah.
And they're strange, for lack of a better word, bedfellows. But I've been very disappointed by the anti-trafficking community because they have not been vociferous at all about what's happened with Epstein. We know who a lot of the perps are. We know who a lot of the procurers are. There should be a lot of people in prison right now.
Yeah.
But and it's really heartbreaking for me. I've spoke. The National Center on Sexual Exploitation has like an anti-trafficking summit, and I've spoken there at the last couple of years, and I've seen them do very little to get this issue out. Most of the anti-trafficking organizations, unfortunately, have not been vociferous about this issue at all.
Yeah. So
And it's heartbreaking to me because when the government doesn't work and when the media doesn't work, you've got a lot of anti-trafficking organizations. They should band together. I mean, if you're against child trafficking, you're categorically against child trafficking.
Yeah.
And here is an obvious case of child trafficking being covered up, and none of these organizations are getting making any noise about it, which is very difficult for me because I know some of the people involved in these organizations, and I just expected more from them. It was troubling.
yeah, so with the media in general? How do you think, like, how much of this stuff do you think they know and cover up, or how much does this stuff just not come across their like desk, or like have they had any like specific roles and like kind of?
It's hard to say. I will say this, that I do believe that a lot of people in the media are compromised.
Yeah.
And I think people very high in the media. And I don't know if this is true anymore, but it would be close. 6 corporations own 90% of the media that's imbibed by Americans. And I got to hand it to the CIA or intelligence or whatever you want to call it. I mean, they don't compromise people at the bottom. I mean, they go right up to the top when they compromise somebody. So I don't know exactly I've got some suspicions about who's compromised and who's not, but I don't know exactly. But I will say this: that the way that the media reacted to this, with just as I said earlier, just kicking out Salacious Dirt, it just was it was an embarrassment for me as a journalist to see them the way that the media handled this.
See, yeah, it seems like all they ever do is post a picture of Trump with Maxwell or something.
Yeah.
They never look into anybody who's guilty of, or not guilty, but who's been named.
Yeah.
By
Virginia
victims.
Giuffre named a bunch of them, and her in a deposition, and her deposition was unsealed, and a number of the people that she named were circled by Alfredo Rodriguez in the Black Book. So there you've got double corroboration, and but none of them have been arrested. I don't even know if any of them have been questioned. I mean, it's
Prince Andrew got hit. He got but it's weird. It's like, it seemed like he settled with people, didn't he? Didn't he settle out of court?
yeah. I think I've heard 12 million, but I'm not exactly sure.
So, but he, that's kind of
I think his mommy came in.
his mommy came in. Oh my God, man.
That's embarrassing.
God,
You gotta wake your mom up in the middle of the night and be like, come on, you gotta stand in the doorway and go, Mom, can I lay with you for a little? Mother, I'm in trouble. Oh, what did you do, Andrew?
Remember that cool island I was going
Remember I
to?
kept going to the cool parties with the other 12-year-olds?
Yeah, so he got, his apology, that one interview, he came on and was just like, I'll admit I let my flap down. That was his whole thing.
Well, he also
my
said he
flap down.
didn't sweat too.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did. He
yeah.
sweat.
That interview too. I mean, it really.
That's not
it
true.
really
I don't
showed
sweat.
how stupid he is.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know. I think it might be too much royal inbreeding amongst
Yeah.
Europeans, but at that BBC interview, he really showed.
I mean, it's also, he's probably just so out of touch with talking to
yeah.
any normal people.
For sure.
Normally, I'm sure he spent his whole life saying, I don't sweat. And then everyone in the room went, oh, wow, that's really interesting. Not one person ever was like, what?
Well, the messaging's weird because they were like, I absolutely did not do that. I just apologized and let my side down. Also, here's $12 million. It's like, so wait,
Yeah,
what
which
did
one
you
is
do,
it?
dude? If someone's like, you molested kids, I'm like, no, I fucking didn't. Like, give us $12 million. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I didn't molest any
I
fucking
don't
kids.
have it.
Yeah, I'm fucking, that's just the weirdest part to me when it's like, well, I absolutely did not, but I would apologize. It was a
Have
missight.
anybody else, Prince Andrew, but have any of these other people that have been named come out and talked about it, or been? Because anytime I see Bill Gates, although Bill Gates was never really
Bill,
named in those books, was he?
dude, he hung out with
I know
him
he
for
was.
the weekend.
No, I know
Oh,
he was
Black-
on like the
No,
flight
Bill
logs.
Gates wasn't. But I
Yeah,
think that according, as I said earlier, that Evening Standard article said that Gates and Epstein go back to the 1990s.
Yeesh.
That's
so
not great.
If that's true, I mean, I don't see how Bill Gates could not be compromised. And Bill Gates has shown libidinous behavior amongst his employees. So
Yeah.
Really?
yeah, and
Good way to put it, too. Libidinous behaviors.
so
Nerd
libidinous,
rage.
predatory.
Yeah, it's nerd rage.
So it's difficult to know. I mean, if Epstein and Gates go back that far, I do not see how Bill Gates could not be compromised.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just don't-
he hung out with him. He spent a weekend at his place post indictment,
after
the first
the-
indictment.
yeah.
He was like, yeah, my bad. That was an oversight on my half. I needed money from him.
Yeah, he's like, well, he's dead now.
I know that was his
All right.
that was his thing. He said, well, he's dead now. So yeah, I mean, it's hard for people to wrap their heads around, because it doesn't mean like every single person in the government's corrupt. It's just there are psychos that don't get stopped, and
I was there ever, because I remember after the Epstein suicide, wasn't there was somebody who did the autopsy that said this was conducive with hanging, or not hanging, self-hanging, but there was struggle.
Yeah, there's been a number of people that have come out. Julie Brown of Miami Herald, who wrote the series of articles that really outed Epstein. She's convinced that Epstein didn't kill himself.
But will there ever be an investigation?
There's never been any investigation with anything with
I don't know why
with
I'm sitting here
Epstein. I
like-
mean, there's, the last time there was an investigation, it was the Palm Beach Police Department in 2006. I mean, that was the last time. I mean, the feds, as I said earlier, the feds had a list of 32 victims, and they did not indict Epstein on one single count of child abuse. And it's very obvious that Epstein, everything that he did had been covered up. And as I said earlier, the first known reports of Epstein, of victims going to the FBI, were the Farmer sisters went to the FBI in 1996. So Epstein had been covered up all those years, which is, and like with the Franklin scandal was a huge network. It was bigger than Epstein's. Wasn't as was around about half as long as Epstein's, but it was much bigger than Epstein. According to federal and state authorities, not a single child had been abused. That there wasn't a network. I mean, and that shows you. And then with the Epstein stuff, that all the stuff that went on, like the cover up in 1996, and then the feds covering it up with the 32 victims. It shows how much power had to be deployed to cover that up. And as I said earlier, the only two people that can tell a U.S. attorney to stand down are the attorney general and the president. So someone is, as I said earlier, someone is pulling strings at the apex of power to cover that type of.
So when whatchamacallit, when Lawrence King got busted, who was president then? That was
George Herbert Walker
that was
Bush.
And he said he was friends with Bush, right?
Yeah, he was friends with everybody.
Did he was there things about like the White House tours and like Bush having kids in his house or in the White House?
Well, Craig Spence, who we talked about earlier, the sociopath that lived in Washington, D.C., he took kids and male prostitutes on midnight tours of the White House.
What?
Yes.
He's
And
getting hot dogs and pizzas to the White House.
That's
From Chicago.
And that has been corroborated.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Male prostitutes going to the White House.
Yeah.
That's nice.
This is all bad.
And at least one underage
What the fuck?
victim.
One?
At least one. Yeah. So
Just hanging there? Or like, did they say like what? Like they were just like night out? Like, you check this out? Or do they imply?
I think Spence just wanted to show some people how much power he had.
Jesus, man.
After a night of partying or whatever they did, he said, "Well, I'm going to take you guys on a tour of the White House." And
That's pretty awesome.
No, like wouldn't there be like I guess the president
there was no real ramifications.
Sometimes.
And George H.W. was just in there
He has
just
nightcap.
sawing logs.
Yeah.
Little did he know.
There's a little parade. That's a fucked up
That's
parade.
so fucking crazy.
And the Washington Times broke that story, and the Washington Times also broke stories about Spence's home being wired for audiovisual blackmail.
What being wired?
Spence's home being wired for audiovisual blackmail.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, and unfortunately, the Washington Times is owned by Reverend Moon of Unification Church fame. They've done some amazing reporting, but they're tainted. And then the Washington Post did everything it possibly could to cover up Spence's pedophile network.
Who owns the Washington Post?
At that point, it was Catherine Graham.
Okay.
And now her
Now it's
son,
Bezos.
son owns the Washington Post.
Oh no,
Who's her son?
What's Bezos own?
I thought Bezos owned the Post.
He owns part of the Post.
Okay.
Yeah. And then before that, Warren Buffett had owned part of it.
Did you watch the show Succession?
I did.
What did you think about that in terms of like, because that's pretty much what most of the show's about, how people can just completely spin the media narrative and kind of just move politicians to their pleasure.
I didn't think I was going to like it, but I kind of got into it.
Yeah, it was a good show.
Yeah.
It just shows. And that's in a very fictitious sense.
Sure.
But I think it. All art reflects reality, and I think that show really shows that the reality of how easy it is to cover things up and to get away with unbelievable malfeasance.
Yeah.
And how many death threats have you received?
Yeah.
Because midway through this podcast, I was like, oh, well, we're going to get killed. We're definitely going to get killed.
I've only had one. And now I've had some very strange stuff happen to me. But especially with my phones.
Really?
But I've only had one death threat. Yeah.
What was the threat? Like knock it off or like?
There was, so it's kind of interesting.
Stop being a party pooper. We're having fun.
Okay. So earlier I talked about living on an Indian guru's ashram, and someone who lived there, we maintained a friendship over the years. and he lived in Omaha. And my first trip to Omaha, I knew that something had gone down in Omaha, but I didn't think it was, big and malignant like it was. I didn't think that it was an interstate pedophile network. I didn't think that Boys Town was involved because Lawrence King was plundering Boys Town for underage victims. Jesus. I knew something had gone down. So I originally went to Omaha very skeptical. And I told my buddy, Dirk, I said, I hadn't seen him for, I hadn't seen him for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And I said, yeah, I want to go to Omaha. And he goes, well, why do you want to come to Omaha? And I said, well, I'm looking into this story. And, he was a little concerned about my mental health at that point.
Sure, yeah.
But so I stayed at his apartment, and then the Nebraska State Patrol started calling his apartment. This is 2002. I didn't even have a cell phone, and Nebraska State Patrol started calling his. Leaving messages on his answering machine.
Was this after you got pulled over with the Rusty guy or before?
This is long before.
Whoa.
This is 2 or 3 years before. So so there was a woman. I was sitting. Dirk was coming back from his work, and I was sitting watching the History Channel or something like that. And then I hear a knock on the door, and I go look through the hole, and it's this really freaky looking woman.
Ugh.
And she says, I've got a book for you. And okay, so by the time this happened, I'd interviewed a victim. I'd interviewed Rusty Nelson. I caught someone following me. I was like, DEFCON 4 at this point. And so And my buddy Dirk was, he was getting, kind of uptight about it too, because I'd obviously kicked the hornet's nest. And so this woman said, I want to give you a book. And at this point, I did not want my fingerprints on that book, and I didn't want her fingerprints in my friend's apartment.
Yeah.
So I said, please leave. And she wouldn't leave. And I said, come on, just leave, and then, and
That's
then
scary.
and then I got her, and then she eventually left. And then my buddy Dirk came in with some groceries. We were going to cook dinner that night. And he goes, I saw this freaky woman. And I said, well, she's been, I've just been talking to her for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then, so Dirk is making dinner, and then she comes back. And then Dirk looks at her, I look at her, through the people. And I said, dude, we can't let her in this apartment. And we don't want her fingerprints in this apartment at all. We don't want her fingerprint on that book. So
what was the book? Could you say?
I didn't see it.
Say Cheese and Die by R.L. Stein.
So
Goosebumps.
It is a very spooky.
Dude, that's terrifying.
So she decided to leave, but her parting shot was, you're in a great deal of danger. You're going to get killed.
What?
And now that really short-circuited not only me, but Dirk.
Yeah.
Dirk realized, this is real. And so we had a very nice dinner that night, but we didn't get a lot of sleep.
That was the part of the book that I was going to sleep, and then that story is told, and I was like, that's very scary.
That's scary. Having
I know the look of a crazy, like, looking through a peephole and seeing a lady out there like, Drew.
Yeah.
Like that type of.
They always stand like right up against the door. I had a crazy lady knock on my door. I think she was just genuinely just a crazy lady. And I opened the door and her face is right there. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, very scary.
Well, at that point, I'd gotten very cautious. And like I said, I didn't want my fingerprints or Dirk's fingerprints. I didn't want. So
good call.
But yeah, in an investigation like that, you've got to kind of think about, like, before I went and tried to get pictures with Rusty, I made a video of myself, and I said, this is what I'm going to do. if I get busted for these pictures, this picture, I'm in pursuit of this story. If I don't come back, we obviously got the pictures. So,
what do you do with that? Do you just like give it to your friends? And be like, hey.
Yeah, I give it to my. What I did is all my interviews, I put them on CDs. I gave them to everybody.
Gotcha.
And then all the documentation that I had, it's in 3 different areas.
The scary part about it has got to be that they don't really care who knows. You know what I mean? Like the way they did with Epstein. I mean, they blew up that guy's plane. Yeah. They killed Epstein in front of the entire country.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it seems like they're really not worried about it. I think once they survive one news cycle, it's over. They're clear.
It's done, yeah.
Yeah, I think with my situation, I was a freelance journalist, and I think that other journalists had looked into that, and they'd put heat on them, and that was the end of it. And so they just thought that that'd kind of be the end of Nick Bryant. And I can remember I had a mentor. He's since died. He was a journalist, and we were walking through Washington Square Park, and I was looking up at the buildings for snipers. I left Nebraska very freaked out.
Yeah,
and we sat down, and he was a mentor of mine. He was a great guy. I loved him deeply, and he goes, if you don't want to pursue this, I'll still respect you. And I thought about it, I said, I think I have to pursue this. I mean, I know about it. I got to do what I can to get it out in the world. So
and it's an undeniable fact that a ton of kids are sex trafficked. It's like, there's no this isn't like people like to lump this like, oh, this is all conspiracy stuff. It's like, well, there are kids getting sex trafficked. There's been big sex traffickers getting busted, and then it just goes away. So like you were saying, like, the only people who can do that are, 2 people. That's like, clearly something's amiss. How do you get kids, or what's like this might sound funny, what's like practical advice to like make sure your kids don't get caught up in this stuff? Because they're saying now with like the internet, they can kind of just contact kids online, and like they look for kids who are like slightly disheveled.
Well, it's the thing. I mean, if a kid's from a lower socioeconomic background or dysfunctional background, they're prime.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do
for predators. I mean, and predators really know how to prey. I mean, guys like Lawrence King and Craig Spence and Jeffrey Epstein, I mean, those guys are predators par excellence. They know how to get children, and they obviously really don't have any legal problems. So retribution. So they can get kids and molest them with impunity.
Jesus Christ. That was the thing I was watching today, was just about this one guy would go to like football games and just go to like a high school football game. Just look like he saw a girl with like an ankle monitor, and he's like, perfect. She's clearly
I guess if you just see a girl without a dad or parents.
Yeah.
Just like perfect.
And Epstein was also buying children in Eastern Europe too.
Oh man. So what didn't the Satanist group, weren't they like breeding, allegedly they were like breeding kids for like the purpose of selling them? The Finders. There was like some.
The Finders were there was a telex about the Finders buying a kid.
Oh, okay.
In Hong Kong, and then there was also evidence that the Finders would respond to people that were looking for babysitters.
Oh,
yeah. Oddly enough, if you look up the Finders, because when I was reading the book, I started trying to look up. There's almost nothing.
There's a great article.
Awfully hard to find.
Elizabeth Voss, VOS, wrote a really good article on the Finders. It's the most, it's the best rendition of the Finders that anybody's ever come up with. Yeah. And I did find one of those kids, and I got to the grandmother. I found the grandmother, and then the grandmother had taken on the Finders to get the kid. And the Finders had really subjected her to, a terror, just a lot of terror. And but she's hung in there. She wanted her grandchild out of that cult. And I asked if the kid was only 17 at that time, or 16. And I asked if she would mind if I interviewed the kid. And she said that she didn't want me to interview him.
Gotcha.
So I just, backed off.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So we're getting close to time here.
Yeah.
How about you got a book coming out? You said in July.
I do. I've got a book
You wanna talk
coming
about
out.
that at all?
It's called the Truth About Watergate: A Tale of Extraordinary Lies and Liars. And what you'll see in this book is that the Watergate cover story is almost purely fabrications, and Woodward and Bernstein are pathological liars. I've got them nailed in so many lies. I mean, they even lie. I mean, they lie about important things, but like Bernstein's talking about, he's going out to talk to someone and he's in this storm. And then on that particular day, there's no storm. They're lying about inconsequential things like that. They're just telling lies. And Bernstein said that he was ducking a subpoena and hung out in a theater where he was watching Deep Throat. Well, actually, Deep Throat wasn't even shown, during that period in Washington, D.C. So there's so many lies. And Deep Throat, Woodward's, sagacious source. I really show how that's kind of impossible. Mark Felt, who was outed as Deep Throat after he was very suffering from dementia and wasn't quite there. And I do think that Mark Felt gave Woodward some information, but Mark Felt was living in, he got fired from the FBI, and supposedly Felt would go by Woodward's apartment, and if the flower pot was out, then that meant that Woodward wanted to contact him, and Woodward would take all these cabs and they'd meet in Virginia. And it's kind of funny because the real critical information that Deep Throat gave Woodward is when after Felt got fired from the FBI. So he's driving in from Alexandria, Virginia every day, looking up at the patio. But here's the kicker: Woodward's apartment faced a courtyard. I mean, you could not to see Woodward's apartment, you had to get out of your car and then walk 50 feet and look straight up. So, I mean, that's just one of many things.
So the whole, just like as a summary, Watergate was like, what was the thing you think they're covering up?
Watergate was, it was a silent coup. People, now Nixon, I don't dispute that the dude had some major psychiatric issues.
Sure.
But what Nixon was trying to do is he was opening up China for called rapprochement, diplomatic, and then he was doing strategic arm limitations with the Russians. He wanted to really scale back on nuclear weapons. And what happened there is, like, the jingos in the military and also in the CIA really, and Nixon was conducting these negotiations with a top secret communication system that the Navy had. It was called SD-1. So initially, the Joint Chiefs of Staff had an espionage ring against Nixon, and then the administration outed them, and then but then the CIA started to infiltrate his administration, the inner sanctums, because all those burglars that were busted at the Watergate, except for G. Gordon Liddy, well, he wasn't actually busted at the Watergate, but he was busted later on. They were all CIA.
Oh, fuck.
So, Woodward has an extensive background in intelligence, and actually the special prosecutor that was able to get rid of Nixon, he has a background in a lot of connections to CIA. So
Gotcha.
The CIA was, wanted to get rid of Nixon, and it got it had some fortuitous things happen. And then, but Watergate was like a completely a botched job. I mean, those guys they were in the Watergate twice, and they should have been busted the first time, but the security guard was cognitively challenged. I mean, he just wasn't that bright. I mean, at one point, okay, so
Forrest Gump told him.
yeah. I mean, no. Forrest Gump made this guy look like Einstein.
Really?
I mean,
No.
so the
Or was he deep undercover?
He could have been.
Could have been the ultimate deep throat.
the Democratic National Committee was on the 8th floor of the Watergate, and the Federal Reserve was on the 6th floor. Now, someone had burgled the Federal Reserve a month earlier, but at one point, and this is mind-boggling, McCord, who was a CIA guy forever, led the burglars, who were all CIA assets, up to the signed in and went to, and this was around midnight, and went to the Federal Reserve. I mean,
burgle
I've been
it?
burgled that. I mean, and they could, and that security guard was too stupid to call the police.
Oh my
so
God.
they, I
So
mean,
they were like, we got to do it again.
yeah, so they had to do it. Yeah, so they had to do it again. And
It's the reason you're here, burglary.
yeah, I mean,
All right, go ahead.
when you read the book, it's
God,
kind of mind-boggling what happened, what really happened with
At
Watergate.
least Nixon got off easy compared to JFK.
True.
Well,
It's
I
kind of a
think-
nice. They toned it down a little. They were like, "We're just gonna fake a thing. You'll get impeached. It's better than getting your head blown off during a parade."
Definitely.
Well, the thing about that is there'd been so much blowback with Kennedy and the Warren Commission. Like a majority of the Americans didn't believe the Warren Commission. I mean, the media has had all these years to work on them and brainwash them, but 60% still don't think that Oswald acted alone. So I think, and then you had the death of Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy. So I think had you not had those previous assassinations, the CIA probably would have assassinated Nixon. But this way, it was
Gotcha.
it was a kinder, gentler.
It's almost like why
Way to go.
Maxwell's still alive.
Yeah.
You know,
she died
there's
too.
no way
All
they can
right.
do that again, just like that.
I hope
Yeah.
not.
It's like every other. I think they can do every other.
Yeah,
Like, all right, you
unless
live,
it's
you
the
die.
civil rights leaders, then it's
Oh, dude,
then they can do every
iced,
single
yeah,
one.
They iced them pretty badly. Yeah, they had a nice little run of assassinations there for a while. And
Yeah,
I
they
guess
got
they
greedy.
more sophisticated. Like, I guess we could just make up terrible shit about these guys. And
Yeah.
a little easier.
Well, I think that's it, Nick.
Yeah.
That was awesome,
Dude, thank you
That
so
was
much.
awesome. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And
Yeah, thanks for looking into all this stuff. It's pretty scary to do. You know,
yeah, you keep looking at it. What are you just trying to find the one
that
thing
crazy lady.
that'll get you?
I'd have been done, dude.
It's I don't know. You know, it's once I was on this trajectory, I wanted to see justice.
Yeah.
I've talked to so many victims. I've spoken at so many conferences. I've interacted with so many victims, and I want to see them get justice if they possibly can.
Yeah, well, it's funny with the feminists too, because they talk about the patriarchy. And you're like, all right, here's a bunch of powerful men abusing children. And they're like, that's a conspiracy theory. And it's like, no, isn't that like your whole philosophy for how the world works? Like, no, that's conspiracy theory. It's like, no, it's there they are.
Yeah,
Lock 'em
that's
up.
them. Here's their names.
Yeah, because it's kids, man. It's little kids. It's like, and it's definitely happening, and it's it's fucked up.
Yeah, it's had the media had any integrity whatsoever, Washington D.C. would have been filled with mobs demanding justice. There was a similar situation in Belgium, and a couple 100,000 Belgians hit the streets.
Really?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was how long ago was that?
It was late 90s, I think.
Yeah, I remember there was a joke in a movie I heard about. In the movie In Bruges.
Oh,
He makes a joke about Belgium. That's the only thing I've ever heard about the Belgian pedophile thing.
it was Marc Dutroux was the guy that got caught. And, but yeah, that was at that point you had law enforcement coming out and saying this is a cover up.
Yeah.
Kind of like
What?
with what happened with Palm Beach Police Department and Epstein.
Yeah, he blew the whistle on it. Pretty. Yeah, good for him. And they still cover it up. Like, all right, next level.
I'm going to hit the bathroom.
Yeah. Well.
All right, well,
let's wrap it up.
Thank
We're
you very
done.
much. And yes.
Yeah. Thank
goodbye.
you so much,
All right. Well, that was our interview with Nick Bryant.
man.
And I don't know about you. I feel spooked and I'm ready for this definitely to get taken down
For
and
sure.
all of our money to be taken.
Possibly.
They're going to kill me with the heart attack gun.
You think so?
Yeah. I've been talking about being fat and doing coke. They're going to kill me with the heart attack gun.
The sonic wave.
You You're jumping off a building.
I think they'll let me eat true, or they'll just like MK Ultra me and let me go crazy.
Yeah.
That they might be. It might be good to keep me
It'd be
around.
pretty easy to get rid of us.
Oh, dude, piece of cake.
Dude, all the knowledge we just acquired.
Also, I almost get rid of myself just like walking my dogs and like listening to my headphones. I almost get hit by a car like once a month.
Yeah, I'm gonna let the CIA off the hook here. I'm probably gonna have a heart attack. It probably wasn't them.
Just be
if
patient.
I do commit suicide, that was probably me. Look, I'm not saying I'm suicidal, but if I ever do it, I was probably pretty sad.
There's a greater chance of me killing myself in the CIA. Yeah, I can see that.
All right. That whole fucking thing was brought to you by Manscaped. Good call to start sponsoring.
Hey,
today,
are you trying to start a honey pot? And you want?
Hey, are you tired of your kids having pubes? All right.
Are you?
All right.
Do you want to rise to the highest of all levels, but don't want to grab underage girls? Grab a girl who's overage and shave her pubes with Manscaped.
Matt. All right. Today's podcast, we were brought to you. Look how giggly we are, dude.
I know.
Nick just left. Now we're all
We had to get all the
dude.
giggles. We had to, dude. Me and Shane were buttoned up.
Save it for the Patreon, bro.
True.
All right.
We should do this at the very beginning of the podcast.
Look, we're brought to you by Manscaped.
Yes.
This is the beginning. All
Yeah,
right,
the
fine.
beginning.
No,
This beginning.
the beginning stinks. You don't want to open with ads.
It'll be a good open.
All right, fine. This is the beginning.
And we
Get
got to do
ready.
one of those things like, hey guys, today we talked to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, all right, we can do that.
Yeah. But first,
They're known for
Pubes.
the best pube trimmer around, the Lawnmower 4.0.
Whoa.
Talk about how hard, scary, painful trimming your pubes is and how using Manscaped helps.
I mean, if you cut your balls, they do bleed forever.
It is a real negative experience. And Manscaped did send us a fucking package that does.
True. I smell good now.
I smell good. I've been using the body wash they sent.
Yep.
Wow, I smell good. And girls can't get enough of it. Underage girls at sex parties. Manscaped now has been a great line of products in the all-new Ultra Premium collection. Go to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code DRENCHED. It all starts with a cologne-infused Ultra Premium body wash. That's what I use to attract perfectly of-age women.
Exactly, dude.
Loaded with aloe vera and sea salt, keeps your skin feeling clean and moisturized all day.
For sure.
And a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner that cleanses and nourishes in one step. Use it anywhere you got hair. Use it on your ass crack if you're a hairy wop.
Dude,
Matt?
Sorry.
And they've got aluminum-free deodorant. It dries clear. Have tattoos or dry skin? Hit your skin with the hydrating body moisturizer spray. Talk about a product they sent you that you like. I told you already I like the moisturizer.
Yeah.
So look, get 20% off free shipping with the code DRENCHED at manscaped.com. That's 20% off free shipping at Manscaped and use the code DRENCHED when you buy Ultra Premium Collection from manscaped.com. For real, though, they sent me that package and it is very nice. It's nice to have a nice ball trimmer. You know which one I was using? One I stole from Phil.
Really?
A long time ago, and I've used it ever since.
I use my wife.
I think
Girls always have some weird shit like that. The nose hair trimmer, that came
Nose
right
hair
on
trimmer
time.
is nice.
Bro, I'll never like that. That's the only thing that can make me trim my nose hairs.
Yeah.
They sent me a nose hair trimmer. I was like, oh, nice. And I just
It's a nice one.
got up in there. Dude, I was full Spyro the Dragon. I was like, I had him coming out of every which way. So that was cool.
So that's our sponsor.
Yeah, trim your nose
Manscaped.
hairs, dude.
We were just kidding about the stuff up front, Manscaped.
Yeah.
Sean, you have a show coming out Friday. Is it Friday that you have a show, or is it Thursday?
Yeah, I have a show Friday at
nice.
Sesh Comedy.
Sesh Comedy.
It's called The Doghouse. Bees can't come anymore because he's doing Harrisburg with you.
Yeah.
But instead we have Column, so come see all of our friends in Column on my Instagram. And then The Stand on Wednesday.
Oh.
I have Drip. We got Nick Mullen on there, Shane Torres, our pal Andy Malfarina.
Yeah.
A bunch of very funny
that's
comedians.
Wednesday at the Stand?
That's Wednesday, April 6th at The Stand at
that's
7
gonna be a
p.m.
good show. You get to see the Muldog.
Yeah, please come. All the stuff's on my Instagram, so that'd be nice. Thank you.
7th, 8th, and 9th, I'll be at the West Palm Beach Improv. Palm Beach.
Whoa.
Palm Beach Improv.
Mar-a-Lago.
The 14th, 15th, and 16th, I'll be at Good Nights in Raleigh. 22nd, 23rd, a little Nashville Comedy Festival. The 28th, 29th, and 30th, I'll be in Indianapolis, Helium. Here's the ones I got to get out because I haven't done a good job of advertising these. May 6th, Friday, May 6th, I'll be at the Academy 2 in Manchester, UK. Sunday, May 8th, I'll be at the Wardrobe in Leeds, United Kingdom. Monday, May 9th, I'll be in Glasgow at Oran Moor. Thursday, May 12th, I'll be in Dublin, Ireland at Liberty Hall. Early show sold out, not a big deal.
Nice.
Thursday, May 12th, there'll be a late show, also at Liberty Hall in Dublin. Friday, May 13th, this is confusing for a lot of people. Friday, May 13th, I'll be at the Leicester Square Theater. That is sold out. That's at 7:30. Friday, then I'm going across town for a 9:30 show. Friday, May 13th, I'll be at Shepherd's Bush Empire Theater in London. And that's the first like theater I'm ever doing in my life.
Really?
It'll be in London.
Damn.
That'll be pretty sick.
That'll be awesome.
Shepherd's Bush Empire, May 13th. Please come to that, blokes.
Dude, you got to go full Peaky Blinder. Keep the razor blades in your hat, fucking.
The Peaky Blinder. You better come to my show, eh?
I'll be in Austin April 14th at Cap City Comedy Club. Magooby's Joke House,
Yo.
April 21st, Timonium, Maryland.
That's going to be lit.
That's going to be fun.
April 21st.
April 21st, right after 420, dude. I don't know if I'm not.
Is that a
gonna be
weekday
sick,
or?
man. I believe it's a weekday.
I might
believe
do a little
it's-
guest spot.
Dude, that would be so fun. I believe it's a.
Fuck, I'm in gay Nashville.
I think it's a weekday. I'm pretty sure it's a
I'm in
weekday.
Nashville that whole week.
And the big one, dude, the mother of all shows, Bananas Comedy
Oh my
Club.
God, Bananas
April
is sold out
29th
yet?
and 30th. I don't know.
That's
I
got to
don't
be
think
sold
so.
out.
They would have told me.
That's
No
got
way.
to be sold out.
April 29th and 30th, Bananas Comedy Club, Rutherford, New Jersey. Rutherford,
How have you not
North
been able
Jersey.
to say Rutherford?
Is it Rutherford or Rutherford?
Rutherford.
Rutherford.
Yeah, it's Ruthford's.
First of all, Gonzaga's not even in the fucking tournament, you dickhead.
Yeah,
I was
no.
like telling my cousin, I was like, I got Gonzaga. He was
Well,
like,
they
"They're not
lost
in."
recently.
Shit.
They lost recently.
Yeah, they did win. When I told you they were winning, they
Really?
were. Yes, and Gonzaga. All right,
Gonzaga.
so we're
Yeah.
doing this before the episode.
No,
Whatever you
Yeah,
guys
put
want.
this at the end.
Put
This
it
is
at
at the
Yeah,
end.
put it at the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
put it at the end.
Thank
Hey,
you.
gang.
Thank you for watching our show.
Yeah.
Read the Franklin scandal, dude. That shit's scary.
Dude, I'm all over it.
it's spooky.
It's great.
All right, goodbye.
Farewell.
The Wild Wild West.
Actor, magician, hypnotist, escape artist, television personality. There are a lot of parts to make up Steve Crawford. Steve and his team of experienced professionals would like an opportunity to tailor a program to meet your needs.
Hey guys, welcome to Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast. We're doing a little road episode. I'm in Ontario, California, recording a comedy special, but we're recording an intro for my newest special that'll come out eventually. And I met you, Steve Crawford, dude.
Great to be here.
Lifetime
I met
entertainer.
you. That was a crazy day we had.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was
Absolutely.
mostly you. You were doing stunts and shit.
So this guy, don't let him fool you. He
The Wild Wild.
You got actually hurt.
I got hurt, a little bit injured.
Your ribs are messed
So,
up. Well, that should be nothing to you. You're a stunt. How long have you been doing stunts for?
Exactly. That's the problem. So now I'm all broken down and sore. So I did Daredevil stunts on the road for 30, 40 years. And that was for state fairs, festivals.
How'd you get into that?
You know, I was a kid. I had a childhood hobby of magic. My mother told me about the movie Houdini with Tony Curtis. And I watched this thing, and I watched him get locked in the water tank, and his appendix burst, and he dies. And but something it affected me differently than it did the other people watching, and it grabbed me.
You watched the Houdini, so you saw him die in the tank, and you're like,
I did.
I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
carry
oh
the
my
torch.
gosh, I want to do what this guy's doing. That is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to die, let's die in a water tank in front of an audience. You know, we're all going to die.
True.
But didn't plan to die and didn't die. But I was lucky. I had a locksmith that lived next door. He taught me how to pick locks, and I really became a big Houdini fan.
And your stage name was Houdini, right?
As a child, I went all the way in those days, actually all the way to college. Houdini names, you know, with somebody Eeny. Everybody put an Eeny, so I went with Houdini. Can you hold? My beautiful assistant is here. Would you hold the microphone? I'll show you one of the first tricks I learned. This is a quick one.
Did you ever use male? It's always women. I never like sexy boys
Yeah,
for the
why not?
assistant.
I think you got to hold it closer. Somebody told me that.
Yeah, get up there,
that was
bro.
you that told me. All right, here we go. Little dollar bill trick.
Here we go.
So a lot of kids start with this stuff, which I did
Yeah.
at the library. Picture of Barbara Bush. I don't know if you can see that. Or
Kind of looks like Barbara up there.
I always thought as a kid. Anyway, no, we fold the dollar up. In this trick, what we want to do is make it come out backwards or different or upside down. But in this case, it actually changes.
Yeah.
About $99 different. As you can see, you get a $100 bill. So money didn't really become the motivation to do it. but it kept me doing it.
You got the
career.
Philosopher's Stone. You could do alchemy, transfer the lead into gold.
We could do that. It's true. I will say I picked up many dates as a child,
Sean.
pretending to be a real wizard and that I could do real magic and read her mind, and you wouldn't believe it. Magic is a great way to meet girls. Don't let me.
I wanted to ask you about that. That seems.
Absolutely.
I watched the reel of you. That was the Oklahoma. What was that? The hockey team, right?
Oh, you saw one of my sports events doing illusions. Yes.
My question is, so when you're a magician, because you're a magician, actor, stuntman. You do it all. You're a general entertainer, a real entertainer. Everyone thinks they're an entertainer now, but you are the real deal. 40 years of getting locked underwater, acting.
You know, it was a funny thing when I was growing up. I was the only entertainer that I knew, and I mean, I met people who helped me in the business, but. I did my shows, and now I look at social media, and everybody's an entertainer. I'm like, I'm the only one on there not entertaining anymore. It seems
your
like,
blood, sweat, and tears.
In the world has changed. Everybody's entertaining.
Well, here's the question. So with the magic, you're saying is a good way to meet girls. When's the first time you converted magic skills into just some? I don't know how graphic you want to get.
So often. Well, I've got one true story, and it's a no joke. There's a victims protection order on file in Oklahoma.
Hold up, bro. On you or the person?
On the girl who had a fatal attraction, and it was this that in '81 I opened for Alice Cooper. I was his opening act. We did some illusions, and I was a good guy. Backstage, I met with the people who won the radio passes to come backstage, and friendly and. The band members were sleeping with people and all that. I didn't get any of that. And one of the rules I had.
How old were you back then?
I was very young. I was 18, 19 years old.
Okay.
So yeah.
It's crazy.
But yeah, one of my earlier gigs back in college days, I was in college when we hooked up for that. But I had been meeting girls in clubs and telling them I was psychic. So I felt bad about that. Even in high school. And would read their mind. And of course it worked. They're just, we got this connection. But I had a rule I would never go out with a girl that I met at a show. Because what they see in the show is not who you are. I mean, you're playing a role. You're a daredevil stunt guy with security around you, and I mean, you're playing this image, right? Mm-hmm. Or you're a funny guy in a show, whatever it is. So those people don't know you. So I broke the rule one time, and boy, it was crazy. Young lady, you can look up. It's still in the file, court case, but yeah, she. Tried to come on hard to me to marry me. All of a sudden, I'm like, what in the world? We just met.
You gave her one taste. She lost her mind.
And exactly. And I told her words to me were, you know what? She said, I should have killed you when I saw you at the state fair in September. I'm like, what?
Whoa.
And she grabbed the wheel of my little convertible and it was icy out and crashed it. And then broke in my house later, stole stuff. There were gas stoves in those days. I was a single guy and turned on all the gas, blew out the pilot lights, and attacked me through the back door. So everybody on our city block there went to court, and we won. And
bro,
but I learned my lesson.
How many times did you pipe her down?
One time,
just once.
It was once.
You got to taste the amazing
what in the
Eugenie
world?
once.
And I just don't know. I don't know what to say about it, except, I don't think it's a good idea to commingle,
That makes sense. That's kind of smart.
Really
so you were that smart, that young to keep it separate. Because that's a good insight to know. Like, dude, this is all glitz and glam.
Yeah. It's true. And I learned the lesson.
So I really wanted to ask you about that because doing the county fairs must have been crazy. Like, what were some of the stunts? What was like the craziest stunt you did at like a county fair?
Everybody had a favorite. And so at state fairs, we did about 25 state fairs starting in September through November. Mm-hmm. West Palm Springs, Florida kicks off early February, and Shreveport, Louisiana, not my favorite fair, but ran right into Thanksgiving. So there was a ton of fairs, and so we had ground acts, family shows, animal circus, kids circus. I did circus sideshow, illusion. So we had that going. Then I booked a secondary act, which was the Daredevil stunt. So one of those was locked upside down in the water torture cell that Houdini inspired, strapped to roller coaster tracks, and a straitjacket, had to dive out of the way right before it crashes through, from a screen.
What?
Hanging from burning rope straitjackets in the air. But there were other markets for swimming pool events. I let anybody with a backyard pool could hire me, bring their padlocks and chain me up to weights and throw me in the pool. And if you had $5,000, I was available to do it. And some close calls, but we did. I made it through that.
What was a close call?
Well, there were a lot of close calls. I wouldn't even know where to begin. I don't know which was the tell person.
So here's the question.
There were some accidents.
If someone hired you at like their pool to escape and you died in their pool, what's the deal with that?
I would sue myself. So I had a $2 million liability policy that if myself or anyone else was ever injured at one of my shows, that it would pay off. So my first step would be sue myself because I was injured at my show.
It's kind of
That was kind of my plan anyway. Get rich off the accident. But anyway.
So what were the babes like at the county fair? Because I know Alice Cooper, obviously, you're probably crowing, but like at the county fair, what's that like?
Well, exactly. Use your imagination, and the smaller the fair, the smaller the town. Yeah, I love small town. I'm from a small town. So, but people are, to be honest, we joke about that. And there was a lot of flirty, horror types, I guess you could say, but there was a lot of very, very sweet people. And I mean it sincerely. My favorite guests, they came every year, just really good people, honestly,
that's
from
cool.
this community. So.
That's cool. Because I always wonder about that. Because that's like, and you kept it to the code that whole time. You just only broke once for that one lady.
Absolutely. I think it was my fingers. I always practice with my fingers. You want to see a finger trick? You want to do something?
Wait, we're talking about the hose right now.
Wait, it's another magic trick. All right, I'm
Lovely assistant. Go ahead.
I'm going to have you lay your mic down. You got to do this one with me. All right. Would you hold this for us? So, actually, magicians, we do use our hands to exercise a little bit to get our magic going. If you do this, hold your hands like this, clasp your fingers together. Now, wiggle your first finger, wiggle your little finger. Good. You're very good, talented yourself. Okay, now separate. Now we're going to go down. Now, can you keep turning to go all the way out? It's a little bit of a stretch. If you're watching this or try it at home, to get all the way out. Now, reverse your arms and lock them like that, except kind of hold them up high. There you go. Now, wiggle the first finger and the little and go, ah, oh. Linda Blair taught me that one, actually.
What'd you do?
Woo. Twist your arms around, right?
Oh, I couldn't do that.
I didn't either. Anyway, I tried.
You're never going to believe it, guys. This episode of Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast is brought to you by Dude Wipes. If you're still dry wiping with toilet paper, it's time to show your beehole some respect and upgrade to Dude Wipes. Why? Because Dude Wipes are wet, and extra moisture cleans away that dry that never, what dry never could. They leave no room for dingleberries and stray butt crumbs that TP might miss. Plus, they're extra large and designed for adults. Dude Wipes tackle the mess without any fuss, and flushable design makes it clean up a breeze. No more endless rolls or settling for less than perfect wipes. Think about the last time you really could have used Dude Wipes. They're good for cleaning up cum. Dude Wipes, best clean, pants down. Available on Amazon and major retailers nationwide.
You want to hear a county fair story?
Yeah, please.
You got time? Would you come back? You're so good at this. I love it. Trick with a couple of jokers and hold on. We're missing one. We're used to standing up. What kind of comedian sits down? You're lucky.
I told you I would stand. I have no problem standing.
So I've got a story how I lost some money from a guy running a little scam, a little gambling game at a fair. And it went like this. I thought being a magician, I'm going to win all these carnival games, right?
Yeah.
This guy had 3 cards at his game. One of those was a joker that he was using. He had a second card, and it was a joker. And then he had a third card, which was actually an ace. He said, this is the money card. Now, what you got to do is keep your eye on this ace. All right, here we go. I noticed he made a shifty move. I thought he put the ace on the bottom. When I guessed the bottom, actually, I lost my first dollar. Now, then he said this. He said, look, I'm not going to mix the 3 cards. I'm going to leave them in the same sequence, the 3, and right now give you a second guess. Now, I said it was the top card, which cost me $1. I said, I knew if it wasn't the bottom, it had to be the middle. And, well, that one cost me $1. I said, okay, now you're using more than 3 cards. He said, that'll cost you $1. I said, you've taken the ace out of the game. He said, that'll cost you $1. Anyway, I owed him $5. Here's where he got me. He said, look, there's an ace. Would you hold that one?
Yep.
He said, here's a joker. He said, if you can still tell me the name of the last card, if you hadn't forgotten it and all this, you win your $5, double or nothing. You get double your money. I said it was a joker. He said I owed him $10. So I did learn, watch the games that you play at the carnivals while you're on that subject. Yeah.
Yes. Do you ever beef with any carnies? Because that seems like you have a beef with any of the carnival folks?
No. In fact, there was a little what was the code? If you ever got in trouble with a guest, you holler out, was it Rufus? I can't remember now. It's been a while since I've been to that market, but all the carnies jump in and help you.
Really?
They do. They watch each other. They watch your back, the entertainer's back. That was one of the first things I learned. That's kind of a family.
It's kind of cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what would you do then? So if you were on the road like that, and you weren't like, taking advantage of the babes, not in like a bad way, but I'm saying they're plentiful, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do? Like you just chill all day and like do magic? Like
You're talking about? I'm sorry. After the show.
yeah, what would you do?
There was no break at a fair. You open up in the afternoon. You do some shows. You run them into the night, and then you go back and you're just wore out. You've been outdoors all day. Typically, a lot of indoor events, but yeah, and go back to your room and hide.
Really?
Beyond, get some rest because you got to do it again the next day. When the fair ends on a Sunday night, you got to pack your tear down, hire help.
You're out, yeah.
Big tear down, load your trailers.
For
and
sure.
Head on down to the next one.
So what about the one thing I wanted to ask you when we started is like, what's the relationship like between a magician and a magician's assistant? That seems like it's an erotic. I don't want to keep like hammering on this, but it seems like an erotic situation. Like, how do you handle that?
Yes, it could be. It's all you keep it in the back of your head. So, unfortunately, see, they never knew. They never knew my thoughts. No, I actually very respectful.
Yeah.
We'd hire dancers. We would hire people that were there for the art and did a good job. And honestly, we became good friends.
That's cool.
I never made a move on an assistant, but there were some I certainly liked. I think they liked me, but we just left it at that.
You're a professional as hell. I guess that's how you do it for 40 years, man. Otherwise,
40 years. It was that long till I could get out of it. And I did comedy clubs in the 80s. Did I tell you about that?
no.
So I had 3 comedy club acts. And it was an agent that convinced me to do this. Keeping in mind, I'm an actor. I wanted to be a comedian, but I never really was that funny. I mean, honestly, I didn't think. But so we developed 3 acts that we booked into the comedy clubs. And one was a pickpocket comedy thing. And one was a monologue with some magic. And the third one is the reason I got out of doing comedy clubs. I had a problem with myself doing this with anybody. I went right in as a headliner. I think a comedy club, you need people to start in the beginning, an opener, a middler, and then you work your way up, and you got real talented comedians out there. But I had an act that just booked the year up like that as right off the bat, went right in as a headliner, because there was no choice but to put it there. And why it booked was the ticket sales, and it's the hypnosis show. So I became a certified clinical hypnotist.
So you majored in
And
psychology.
It was actually an acting theater major with a minor in psychology. But then I became a member of the National Guild of Hypnotists, and I went into these sessions where we learned how to hypnotize people. And I screwed them up. I messed with them. You had to work with real people, right? And tell them that their watch is gone. Well, I would really steal their watch. And then I would touch their eyes and then put my fingers here and say, you're going to feel something touch you. And then I would touch with my other hand. And I was doing magic on these people, right? And then when we came out, all the guests are sharing the stories of what happened. And the certifiers are like, what? What happened? He did what? And, even with kids, we hypnotize kids. But honestly, people are crying. They're talking about their problems. I thought I would never be a doctor. I could never be a clinical hypnotist.
At the shows, people will get hypnotized.
But in the shows, it was it's animal. So yes, a comedian to me is not a hypnotist or vice versa. That a comedian is a comedian. And so here we are in there booked as the headliner because you got to do a lengthy show. You got to bring people up an hour and it's got to be in that spot. And it was a very popular act. So there was a change at the end of the 80s where there were less comedy clubs. So I got in for commercial reasons again. And I like to switch things up because I get bored, change the market some. And the clubs are going down, and so I had an opportunity to stay on. And I think I heard that Jokers was one of the clubs we were working with, wanted now their people to go with them full time or something. There were some changes going on, and I thought, you know what? There's some great comedians that I met while I was out there, and those guys, they deserved the comedy club. So I left them alone. So I left it. I got out of there. And,
Principled man. So what were the shows? So you would hypnotize people and steal their stuff?
So pickpocketing was actually a separate thing, but when I was referring to when we were practicing with real people and real problems, we would go into a room with them alone as part of your training to get certified as a clinical hypnotist. To help you with problems. And I just couldn't resist. I'm like, oh my gosh, you tell them their watch is gone and now they don't see it. And you show them a coin and you tell them it's a different coin. And they believe it's a different coin.
How does it work?
In these tests? Well, this is all through mental program. You relax a person. Hypnosis works this way. You get someone in a very relaxed state of mind. They go to an alpha pattern, and now you can speak to the subconscious mind. You don't have to go to a clinical hypnotist to try some tricks at home. For example, if you're worried about remembering something tomorrow, a better word is recall, because it's always in there, but you want to be able to recall. So you relax into this, like you're falling asleep, right? Very relaxed. And then you look and you picture the shower curtain and tell yourself, when I see this shower curtain, this thought will pop in my mind. So you won't forget it.
Yeah.
And watch. The trick to this is, the fun thing about it is this: the next day, a year later, 20 years later, when you see the shower curtain, it will pop this trigger in this thought. And you go, wow. Then you begin to realize, oh, this stuff really works. It's not all just a show. I mean, a lot of it is a show, but that you can really do that. Or the subconscious mind is so amazing. Most of us have an internal clock in the subconscious mind. You tell yourself, I need to wake up at a certain time as you fall asleep. Watch if you don't wake up either at that time, sometimes on the minute, but usually just a little before, because you know you got to be up at that time.
Yeah.
Your brain will wake you up. So it's about relaxing and getting into the subconscious.
Got you. What was like some of the crazier things you did hypnotizing people?
In the shows, well, making people rigid, laying them on two chairs and standing on their body. And it was not a magic trick. It looked like one, but they're so rigid. And then a friend of mine, Dr. Roy Bellows, who's a hypnotist, the next I heard, he's in court where somebody came back later and said that they had some back injuries. And
Stand on the back?
Threw that one out. Well, you stand on the front, you put their feet on one chair and their head here, and then you walk on their body.
What?
It's a classic. It's been around.
Would you do? Men and women or just men?
Well, that depends on your fetish. I mean, I don't know.
I might try that tonight. I might try to jump on a lady during my hours. Jump right on her belly. It's squish her.
Hypnosis. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. They become space aliens. They, raise fun acts in the shows.
Yeah. Were you ever tempted to use the hypnosis for like evil purposes? Not on women. I mean, guys, whatever. Just like tricking people, getting like a clone army going.
You know what's really weird about that is people ask you too, have you ever used your lock picking skills?
Yeah, true.
Haven't you ever been tempted to break in? No. I mean, you could take a brick and throw it through the window tomorrow if you really want to break in. It doesn't change you at all.
Yeah,
you still
exactly.
are who you are.
Yeah. Well, every locksmith knows how to kind of pick locks.
Well, sure. But they're like, well, no, I don't want to break in anywhere. You don't need to pick locks to break in somewhere if you want to break in, but we don't want to break in anywhere. You really don't change it. And hopefully the people that do take advantage of their skills, like pickpocketing. I'll admit, as a kid, we used to go down the street and take people's wallets and practice and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to steal from anybody. I got to get their money back. But we wanted to practice on strangers, and we did. I'm like, I can't do this.
How do you pickpocket? What's the?
Well, you don't have a. If you ever watch on, do you have a buckle straw with a strap on it over there? I can't see what you. Nobody got. So like, give me your hand, and so somebody got a watch on here. You grab here, and you would literally pull back.
Oh, you pop the strap.
Shank, and you squeeze it, and when you pull it away, they don't feel it. So you look for that style watch as a first choice.
Yeah.
And it was in my comedy club act. I'd bring the person up, and then I would wave it in front of their face. It's okay. I'm going to hypnotize you. You're getting sleepy, and then we'll try a post-hypnotic suggestion. The watch is looking familiar to you, and they're like, "Oh, that's my watch." So it was an inherently funny comedy act. And then I would have them tie my hands behind my back. And it's an old routine. Harry Keller, I think, the magician, invented, where you pull your hand out and back in over and over comedy. So I'm flashing the guy's wallet behind his back and show it, and flashing this and flashing that. So take it and then return their keys or something at the end as a finale. We had an occasion in a comedy club once, which caused a real issue, is I added a new bit. So I walked into the audience and I grabbed the proper watch and started picking. Actually, let me go with you. Would you mind helping me? And took a different guy, but I had this guy's watch. So the finale, the new change in this act was at the end. After returning this guy's stuff, everybody laughs. I point to the guy in the audience, "Hey, don't laugh. I got yours too." And you get an extra round of applause, right? I forgot I'd taken it. It was a brand new act. It was in my pocket. And I left the place with this guy's nice watch. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got it. So I actually had to call the manager of the comedy club, and he put out an announcement. And somehow He got a call
got it
from the
back.
right guy. The guy, I was at that show and my watch disappeared. And I was like, yo, you got your watch. What? And we gave him his watch back.
That's
so
nice.
everybody thought it was funny and quite amusing. I don't think they knew if it was part of the act or not, though.
It is nice to know if you ever need to, you could be a master thief. Obviously, you wouldn't do that, but if
It's very true.
Oh, tough
Absolutely
times, you
true. There's nothing, and there really is nothing, no lock that can't be opened, or there's no item you can't escape from.
handcuffs, I know you can escape. You said,
So,
did you set the record for escaping from handcuffs?
yes, sir. I wasn't going to mention it, but I have a world record. Well, that's boastful. So less than 2 seconds.
Came front page news as Steve broke a world record with the escape.
We're ready. I've got the stopwatch. Okay, go, Jim. Yeah, out. Whoa, yeah. Go ahead. Let me see these. All right. Very good. Look at the stopwatch, Steve. 1.47 seconds, and that is less than 2 seconds is a record. Congrats.
And I only sent you one picture of, I just want to share that. I when I was stepping away from escapes, getting older, just a few years back, I started doing something unusual for law enforcement groups. I actually got a phone call from a former chief of police, and he was in Oklahoma, and he calls me and he says, Steve, we've got a problem. People are getting out of the handcuffs. They're getting out of their jails, and they're escaping these things, and they're turning this stuff on the cops. They're leaving them for dead, or or killing them. One, we need your help. And they had a budget, so they would pay me to come in and teach them. I said, well, I'll teach you how to get out of things, not with just to show you how easy it is to do this stuff. Once you know, is I will show you how to escape from padlocks, handcuffs, and things with items around you, and then I'll do it after a search, and then I'll do it without touching anything, which is a matter. Well, so we went with two things on the cop car, and I've got some photos I can send you. A piece of wire from the windshield wiper. Sometimes they put a person up by the windshield wiper, and you take this flat piece of metal, you can shim the cuffs open right through the notches. You're not really picking the locks.
Wait, so how do you get the piece of metal again? Where is it at?
Off of a windshield wiper. So you'll see some photos. I'll send you this later today of me holding a windshield wiper out in front of a police station, and then and actually with it in front of the cops, showing them how to use that, and then a piece of metal that I found in the back seat of a spring of a car, if you could dig in to get it. But and then another one was picking padlocks with the stem from reading glasses or glasses, which is actually two pieces. You get a shim, you get a, and then there's something completely different, which is going through the shank of a padlock. So anyway, I'm doing this stuff, and we go from local police to, I was connected, put up with an organization that was with the criminal justice system, and it was called the MacGyver 101. And it was a 3-day weekend. They had a guy that was a narcotics, Federal Bureau of Narcotics there, another guy in weapons. I was the only one that was a non-officer. So I don't know if you can actually Google on YouTube. Somebody put it on there once, the handcuff escape and a prison escape. I don't know
How
if
did you
saw it.
escape from the prison?
There's several ways. So I gave him one of the methods that with certain cells you can use that people would take shampoo bottle, toilet paper, remember, stings around you, and block the bolt hole. And when you slam some of those cells, it seems like it's shut. That's not I don't give away my best secrets, believe it or not. I really don't. So this is the one I gave them.
Yeah.
And I cops said, we had that happen. We actually had a guy get out of the cell that way. This stuff's really going on.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not afraid to share it.
Yeah.
I think the best, but we were shut down, and I will tell you this too. So we're doing these federal things. I know we got to go quick probably, but
You're good.
I actually
We're good.
told them I had a second hobby, and it was sneaking into places, testing security at places. So I was trying to make
I
this
always
part of my
wanted to do
business.
that. I always wanted to go to stores to show them how much I could steal from them, and then go, here's how I did
So
it.
if you really want to see this stuff, I'll send it to you. I was making this part of my business. We had some customers that I would show them how I could get through their security and
sick.
get past the bomb squads. And some of these things were so easy.
You get onto a plane, you think? Through the TSA?
That's what I was leading up through.
No, really?
Big time story. This is the story. So I've got the photographs to show. I told them, in my observation, the TSA at the airport is the absolute weakest security in the world. And I can get, and I got an arsenal of stuff through it. And I will show you, I kid you not. started with things like metal signs from, about this large, surfboard, and finally a big metal sword, which I've got a picture of my wife's angry looking at me, and it's not a fake picture. She didn't know I did it, and I put it under my jacket. And so what was going on? There's a here's, gosh, I'm going to share this right now because I'm not supposed to share this. This is what ended my career with the law enforcement. I love this story, and I'm sharing it publicly for the first time. And it could get me in some serious trouble. I kid you not.
Yeah.
So here's what was going on. I said, I said, okay, first is I called it the magic trick. We'd go to the airport. I've got all this on video pictures. And you've got all these TSA standing around, right? An abundance of them watching. I want to get that number down. When I say the magic words abracadabra, a big group of them, they all leaving a skeleton crew for me to work with. And it works every time. Abracadabra. And how? This is what they were asking me at they said, how do you do? Is it hypnosis? No. So I would hide a bottle of water in a backpack or drop it in somebody's purse while in line.
Yeah.
In one of my demonstrations, I used my nephew, because he was in on it, but you could stick it anybody. They get flagged. These extra bodies are here just for that reason. You got a bottle of water, they're going to take you off. And they're going to, so you can get these people out of there, right? Now they're over there, no harm, no foul. The lady or person gets to leave. It's just a bottle of water, right? But you get rid of them. Now, the next step was this. There's this tray, this table where you roll all your stuff around and you put your stuff in, right? And underneath, there's nothing there. It runs right up to, I guess, what's designed to be a portable x-ray machine. It's got wheels on it. There's a gap underneath this thing, right? So this is blocking the view. You got the people on the computer looking straight down. You got this guy over here telling you got to take your shoes off. You got the guy over here making sure nobody needs help. And you got people crawling all over the floor, putting shoes on the other side. So I would drop the item in the floor and kick it underneath the machine, right? And I'm snapping photos, which is illegal, I found out. And I've got a ton of these from like 20 airports. Kick it. And we were showing them on the screen, showing how I got this, that, and trying to get something done. So the MacGyver 101 team, the people I work for, they wrote a letter to the White House. I guess the criminal justice system did. And we got a nice letter. And I got a big certificate. Wonderful, all your stuff you've done. This is going to cause some changes. We want to fly you to Washington a certain month for this round table thing they do once a year.
What?
And my stuff would go right to the government. Suddenly, my sister, who lives in Hawaii at the time, gets a call. I don't know why the guy couldn't find me. And I guess I didn't answer my phone, and says, we need to find your brother right this minute. Where's your brother? She said, what's going on? She said, well, they're coming to arrest him and go to jail. She's like, what? She said, if you know how to get a hold of him, you must find him right now. So I'm saying, what's the matter with you guys talking about? You told me to call this number if I ever got arrested going through the airport. And you would tell, they said, well, that's the thing. We normally, they work with this. We tell them you're testing it. Or we would talk to the judge and you're working for us, you're helping. Yeah. And he said, no, he said, the TSA are pissed. He said, these guys, they say they're going to make an example out of you. What? That you're guilty of several felonies. Not only did you not work you're not a lot in law enforcement. Yeah. That you took pictures, you manipulated officers and bragged about it out of the area and endangered lives by showing people how to do this.
Who'd you show though?
I put it all over social media.
Oh, fuck.
Everyone. And I told them I was going to do it. I said, let me tell you something. I'm not going to be part of a cover-up. Yeah. I said, if we show the public what's going on, they'll change it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I am not so egotistical to believe that I am the only one on earth who's going to see that and could do it.
That's pretty smart, though, to kick it under.
They made some major changes. So if you look at my photographs of airports, or you have a good memory, go to the airports now, and they're all a little different. You can tell they're experimenting. They've changed some things. They've got a wall they're putting now that runs further back, so you can't control something right up to to kick it under. They've got a machine now to bring the carts back around that they've made. They're finding ways to complicate this thing, and I'm very thankful that happened.
Why did they arrest you? How'd you get out of that?
So they were looking for me, and my guy, he says, I need you to hide. I'm like, what? He goes, I'm dead serious. He said, because if you get arrested, we may not know where you are.
Yeah, it's like federal stuff too.
Yeah, he said it's a TSA. He said these guys are not joking here. He said they are mad.
They're never joking. They're always fucking grumpy.
He said we're going to fight with them. So he came back. He said it's been resolved. There's 3 conditions. One is we can no longer hire you. You lost the gig. You know, no more teaching the officers. We got to end this. No more airports. No nothing. Number 2, you got to delete all your social media posts, which I did not do. I still see some pop up in memories, but somebody deleted some of them. And they said, and number 3, they want to meet you in person. I'm like, why do they want to meet me in person? He goes, I don't know. They just want to see. No. I said, I'm going to do everything but that.
Yeah.
Because that sounds like a trap.
Yeah,
you know?
really.
Turn yourself. I'm not an idiot. But anyway, so no, I never. They said, oh, and part of the condition. Not only can you not tell anybody what you did, you can't tell them why you can't do it anymore. This thing just has to go away
Really?
now. Yeah, just disappear. So that's why this is the first time I've shared it, and I'm a little upset. That's why I'm
that's kind of annoying,
sharing.
man. How big was the sword you got through?
How big? What?
How big was the sword that you got through?
Oh my
TSA?
gosh! I should have sent you that picture. It was from the floor to here.
What'd you do
So-
with it once you got through the security?
Well, I carried it around, but it looked like this. I took it on the
Did you
plane.
get weird looks with the sword?
Well, the photo that I'll send you, we're at the gate where my sister is flying one place, right, from one plane, and my wife's there. My wife said, you can never do this stuff when you're with me, which I didn't typically. On this, and so I had 2 versions, right? Some of this stuff I just carried on me and tossed it down, but I usually use the jacket, okay? And I would use the jacket to kind of drop it to get whatever it was underneath.
I got you.
And then when I'm down tying my shoes, I would retain. Sometimes something got stuck under there. It wasn't the sword, but I would just crawl over there and get it because everybody's in the floor putting on shoes. This is the weakest thing I've ever seen in my life, you know. And one of the officers even saw me once, and I said, I dropped my wallet. And it was just, underneath. I got
sword.
It. But the sword. So we're done through. We got it through to the gates, and that's from there on. It's really no big deal. But I'm saying goodbye to my sister, and I'm holding the sword and the photograph behind my back, and you see my wife going, and I had somebody take the picture, right, of us leaving, saying goodbye. The group, we're hugging, and she's just going, like, so she's still mad.
She knows you got that thing on you.
She's very upset about that. So that's a real photo. I will show you. I wanted to put it back on social media even after. It was so funny. That's when some of this was going down. And he said,
how long ago was this?
7 years before I moved here.
I don't know why in my head I feel like if a crime happened 7 years ago, you're good. So
and it was one of the reasons I left where I'm from, Oklahoma, was that to move to California. That was a reason. The fact is, I had studied acting in college and always wanted to be an actor.
I thought you were a great actor. You did great.
Thank you. I think I love doing it. It's really something I've worked on it since a kid, and I want to do it as a career. And it was one of those things where I was going to come out here right after college, but I couldn't. I got trapped in my career. Once you start booking annual stuff, now they're going to book ahead. You're booked that month this year, so they book you the next year. And next thing you know, 30, 40 years has gone by, and you're just, and so it really took COVID as well to shut everything down. And I said, I'm never looking back, to go into acting full time.
Did you get any long-term injuries from doing like stunts and stuff?
Covered with them.
Are you really?
Absolutely. Yeah, covered with them. I did an air show stunt, did an escape, and I had a bad landing.
How high up?
More than 10,000 feet. But it's not, it was an escape from a box, which was a thing where the audience thinks that they're going to. I was actually booked by a man named Etzel Ford. He has an air show team. And he came to me. He said, I know you do stunts. He said, can you do something for air shows? He said, we need a new act or something to go with us. And he said, in air shows, in most shows, you want people to think you're going to die in a stunt show. But in an air show, you want them to know you're going to die. And I said, I had the idea. What if the audience thinks they're going to die? He said, even better. So in this effect, I dropped from the plane in the box, and the audience is told it's falling out of control. So they take it up in the plane, and the audience can see the chute open. And they go, Steve was open to shoot. He's carrying the box back over the drop zone. So now I'm holding this box, it looks like, till I get over in the area.
Wait, so are you
release it?
You're in the air?
I'm with a chute.
Oh, you're holding this box.
I'm holding the
over.
box, which is what it looks like, and then I release it and pull these toggles and land. Well, the truth is you can't hold a box when a chute opens in the air. So I'm wearing this harness we had made down in DeLand, Florida by a company, real nice. They make tailor-made stuff for stunts and air shows and things. And a strap attached me to the box. So I have this strap, and as I get lower, I release the box and would open my chute. So the problem is, anytime you get 2 lines, FAA approved stunt is safe. I was angry at them. I said, you guys weren't honest with me. Anytime you put 2 lines in the air, you run a risk of danger. You get of line entanglement, which is exactly what happened. The chute came out, wrapped around the strap to the box. So I've got a chute there. Not the end of the world. You got 2 chutes. Cut away your left one, pull in your right one, right? So now I've got this chute open with the strap in the box, which is what it's supposed to look like, but there's an additional piece there that shouldn't be there, the first chute.
Right.
So it's causing you to go like this. As I go down, you can't look down when you're lowering. Skydiving is a weird thing. You can't tell how low you are by looking down. You have to look at the horizon. So about 50 feet from the ground, looking out that way, you can tell where that is. You slow your descent normally, right? So in my act, is I cut away and then slow my descent, right? So the horizon is just doing this. I couldn't tell, and I couldn't cut it away because I didn't know who I'm going to kill, right? This whole thing could land anywhere. So I'm trying to focus to see where I am, and that's the last thing I remember. I had a concussion. I've got the short socks, the nerd socks. You can see the scar right there on my.
Why are short socks nerd socks?
I saw you in one of your acts. Some of the audience brought that up, and you showed them your socks, and
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? It's on YouTube right now.
Socks.
It's on right now. You're having to yell things out of the audience.
Oh yeah.
And one of the guys said something about this short socks.
Oh, it was they were saying black ankle socks. They were saying
So here's you can see the scar right there, right? See that one? Yeah, I got one on both sides. But I broke my hip. I broke that ankle too, but this one got crushed and most of the internal parts came out. It took forever to heal from that one. Broke the jaw. I've got scars on my arm still from it. And so this was a long time ago. So it took forever to get well. But I had a chute opener, I'd be dead. It was just what you'd say a hard landing.
Yeah.
And I tell you, it amazes me. People in the old Army, those guys never did have opportunities. They always came down hard. I don't know how they did it.
That's crazy.
Commendable that they would ever put up with that. But yeah. So yeah, I had spikes through my body one time. There was a guy who'd hired me before. It was a thing where I used to get chained in a chair, and we'd had a martial artist with a screen with spikes, and he would come running down. I'm gagged, and he would kick through this thing after a 10-second countdown, and I would roll under him basically and come out. And so this guy hires me, and he says, "Can you do this act? I'm going to have people bring stuff to the show." I'm like, oh, crap, I'm exhausted. And he's got a pole in the stage, like a flagpole. He goes, "We're going to wrap you around this pole instead." I'm like, "Okay." And I said, we'll do a pair of handcuffs. Give me 10 seconds to get out. And then he has people bring stuff to the show and brings it up on the stage. I'm like, what in the world are you doing? He's an EMC. He had hired me 10 years before.
Was it EMC?
What's that?
You said EMC?
He was the MC of the show.
MC of the show. I got you.
And the promoter. He had hired several acts. So he brought me back for this finale, and people were chaining me up. And I'm like, okay. I said, I need a full minute to escape from this. He gags my mouth, and they get the screen ready, and he says, "How many of y'all think Steve can get out of this in the 10 seconds he originally promised?" I'm like,
Whoa.
Punchline's got to be coming, right? Got to be a punchline. And everybody applauds, and he says, "Put it in place." And he stands up, and he says, 10. Now I'm like, are you kidding me? What? And I'm like, sure, I didn't have a chance, right? So I just turned my back to the spikes and this thing, and I've still got here.
What the fuck, man?
Crush. And the sad thing, and I wish my brain had been in the right place to not move an inch, that the audience broke out into applause because they thought I disappeared. And instead, I start moaning and moving, and I'm stabbed, But I wish I had not done that now. I didn't realize.
Well, if you didn't move, you would have been fine.
They thought I was gone. The curtain would have shut, into the show, and everybody thought I disappeared. And then this thing starts moving. They're like, uh-oh. So anyway, I'm like, dude, why did you do that? He goes, I thought you were kidding. And he said, man, I've seen you a million times. He goes, I thought you could just, and you're out. I've seen you do it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to have to confirm that.
Thanks a lot.
How big were the spikes?
Oh, my God. One of them, went right by my spinal cord,
Oh, dude.
I'd been paralyzed.
What?
Do we have time to do another magic trick, or we don't?
I think we have time. Well, the one thing I wanted to ask you about, we have a half an hour. We're good. This episode of Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast is brought to you by Dude Wipes. Riff prompts. When you wipe, are you sitting or standing? I started out sitting today, and then I'm not lying. I got saved by dude wipes today. I was in the bathroom taking a dump at Shane's house, and I had, you know, when it like clings to the side of your butt, kind of. I had a large deposit cling to my butt, and it like literally. You know, did you ever get it on your hand at all when you wipe? I don't want to gross you guys out. Has like accidentally have you ever got it on your hand? I did it. It literally happened to me today. Like I got it just a tiny bit on my hand. I was like, "Fuck."
Well, that's the joy of the dude wipe, an XL wipe for an XL man.
No, it came in handy. I would have had it gone home. It was such a disaster that thank God I did that. Guys, whichever way you wipe, it's time to show your beehole some respect and upgrade to dude wipes. Dude wipes tackle the mess without any fuss, and the flushable design makes cleanup a breeze. They leave no room for dingleberries or stray butt crumbs that TP might miss. Plus, they're extra large and designed for adults. So no more endless rolls or settling for less than perfect wipes. Dude wipes, best clean, pants down. Available on Amazon and at major retailers nationwide. The one thing I wanted to ask you about, we'll definitely do some more magic. You used to be able to hold your breath for 4 minutes.
Yep.
And now you said you can't hold your breath that long anymore?
No. And nor do I know what happened. I've had, a lot of things started to change. I used to be in, very good physical shape. You might remember seeing some of the older photos.
Ripped. I saw the picture.
For an audience, and I was starting to develop some intestinal issues, Crohn's disease, which I kind of hid and continued. Some things were going on. But, I started as a kid, holding my breath, and I was on the swim team. And they always hated it. I was horrible swimming on top of the water, so I would always dive in and go all the way to the other side. Dude. And as we come back, emerge, to finish it up. So I get in, and they're like,
"What stroke were you doing? What stroke were you doing?"
Oh, that was just the regular bicycle,
Oh, dude.
But they
you would just be submerged the whole time?
Oh, the first run, all the way to the end. And when I come back, I'd come up to give them a little bit of fairness, but I was fast under that water. There was no rule of how long you stayed under, right? So if there's no really rule in the books, how long you stay. But I practiced all the time. And so, I was comfortable sitting on the bottom of a pool, shimming locks, picking locks, manipulating them open that people would bring. And honestly, you get 8 or 10 locks. You don't have to open all of them. People didn't realize that necessarily. You open the key locks. But I was comfortable. And then I would spread this, pace it out. I wanted to give the audience a good show. Somebody asked me when I was coming out of one of my water effects, which I could do the lake and the box and things, all these. You come out, you're exhausted, you're coughing up water. Are you really suffering, or is it all an act? No, I'm really suffering, but it's all self-inflicted. I would stay down there.
You would stay as long as you can.
Stay underwater as long as you can until you absolutely can't stay under the minute and come up. You're going to be really breathing hard.
Did you ever pass out underwater?
Actually, I did one time.
I did once too. It was fucking terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
How'd you get? Did you get pulled out?
I don't know what happened. We were at Ponkin Theater in Ponk City, Oklahoma, which was supposed to be a haunted theater. And we had some weird stuff happen with the water tank, an older water tank. When they were trying to pull me up a double pulley system where I go up easy, started fighting them. They're pulling this thing. They're we don't know what's going on, right? And we got this on video. They kind of get me up, and it's this big A-frame. I'm hanging upside down. There's a roller thing. I mean, you got your feet and these stalks, right? And then you got this thing that runs up to the top of this. Where they pulled you up and they roll you across. They're having so much trouble. And I think, man, this thing's going to break. Something's wrong here. So the minute we got up there, I said, get me over the tank quick, because they're holding your hands. And I mean, the second I was there, it broke. The weird thing on that night, the break had nothing to do with the pulley system. It was a piece of steel that they would use for mountain climbing, right? That held the stalks in one spot. That thing just broke. It shouldn't have broken. And another place had nothing to do with the tension. So there was 2 issues, really 3, because the water was boiling after we put a little bucket heater in hours before, because it was ice cold water. Should have taken a day to heat it, but the water was like boiling hot when I almost went in it, and I'm glad I tested it. So this was like a haunted theater, and everybody's telling me all this haunted stuff's going on. I'm like, I just couldn't believe it. And then all of a sudden, everything starts going downhill for my act. So when I hit this thing, I didn't get any air, because I wasn't prepared, right?
Yeah.
It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th one, hold it, go in, and I'm good for a while, right? In this case, I was probably on the exhale, and I went down. So when the stalks came down, they couldn't get the lid on because it fell so fast. You got to hit it just right. You know?
Yeah.
And the guys are fighting with it. And I've got a guy sitting right over here who's a spotter who does nothing but watch me. And if he sees me make a signal something's wrong, cut it.
Yeah.
I'm like, cut it. I'm looking, where is he? He's not there. First rule in Daredevil stunts is don't change anything. Don't improvise nothing. This guy left his post to run help these guys get the lid on, right? So I'm trying to get my part to get out of this thing, and I blacked out. The next thing I know, I'm in the floor. So I had fallen, but I don't know what happened. I literally don't remember.
Jesus Christ.
Very peculiar experience for
Yeah,
sure.
that's
Very,
crazy.
very terrifying for sure.
Yeah, I was just swimming with my friends and we were like drinking, and I think I was using my kids' goggles, so they were super tight and they were just, I think, cutting off like blood in my brain. And I tried to go back and forth in the pool, and I was coming back, and I remember coming out of the water just lungs full of breath. I somehow just propelled myself out, like kind of blacked out, and then I fell forward again, just hit my chin on the edge of the pool. And
Water is so dangerous, and even for an escape artist, and I don't like to tell all my secrets, but I would do everything I can, I could do to make these things safe. Like chained up, thrown in a pool, is that I would have a signal, to something's wrong, and we would tell the audience, well, they'll have to jump in and pull these heavy weights all the way to the shallow end to get me out. Well, the fact is we had a rope with a hook on it. But then I'm like suffering later, and I'm asking my guys, because could you see me? And I really couldn't see that well. The water was too chlorinated. I just couldn't see it. Or we're in a lake. I almost died in a lake. I showed you a picture of this, I think, yesterday, coming out of the lake. That was totally unexpected. Wooden box was in a lake, and I did what I had to do to open it, but the wood had sealed. And I mean, it was a tough sucker to get out of there. Once I got out, I'm exhausted, and I'm trying to work my way up. Lo and behold, we've got quicksand or something underneath the water. When I get to shallow enough to walk, it takes me down, and I'm like pulling. It's hard to get my head on, wet shoes. They're gone.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm fighting to get my feet out of this, and my guys are coming out. So the photo I've got on my phone, if you see, but they're coming out to try to help me, and then they're sinking.
Oh, fuck.
I've got 5 guys, 10 guys are rescue guys, and they can't even get to me, and I'm just like, and I'm so tired. So water.
Yeah, water's dangerous.
It didn't scare me, but water didn't scare me like some things, like height scare me.
Yeah.
But it's very dangerous. Yeah.
It is peaceful though underwater. I have
very
little
peaceful.
kids, and we'll go in the pool, and every now and again I'll just disappear from my whole family underwater for a good minute. And it's just the
Absolutely.
best. Just the fucking best. Just to go underwater. I can't hear anything for.
Yeah. And that was my
40
life.
seconds.
So, circling back to a question you asked, I would sit there underwater and comfortably do my thing and enjoyed the peace and quiet until it was time to come up. But then one day it changed. I just lost that ability.
It's crazy.
So I went to a doctor, and I said, we got a serious problem. I've got bookings. I said, listen, I can hold my breath a lot longer than this. I can't hold my breath. I don't know why, as much as I practice. And so they even did a heart test, massaged my heart. They said, this sounds like it's a heart thing. And no, your heart's fine. And they finally said, listen, whatever weirdness it was that you were gifted with, to hold your breath for 4 minutes is just gone.
Whoa.
Your body's changing.
Just time for acting.
It's time to go to become an actor. Like, I got to survive the last. So the thing that changed was I went from a comfortable performance, because it's a show, even if there's danger, even if it's tough, it's still a show, a comfortable performance to put on a good show of fighting against death, struggling, to a real fight against death, where I'm going as fast as I can and suffering every minute.
Did you still keep doing them even after?
No, I didn't book any more after that. I had to, but I finished my contract. I had bookings. I had a religion about it that once the deal is made, you don't pull out. If once you sign, you're going to be there. And I don't recommend this for everybody, but it's the truth. I did a show with a broken leg once. Not that break, another one of a roller coaster. I had to go do a second show.
So how'd you break your leg on a roller coaster?
Well, that was this thing where I'm strapped to the roller coaster. I think I showed you those pictures. The straight jacket, and we put a screen up, and the roller coasters come in. I have to dive out before it comes through. And I did this a long time ago. Yeah. Way back. Spring Lake Amusement Park in Oklahoma City was the first one I did, and that was in college, way back. Some other guys have done it since then, but it was my original act. And there was a way I knew that the roller coaster was so close, right? So you don't want to jump out.
Yeah.
too early or it looks boring.
Yeah, true.
So you got to wait till it gets there and then
It
jump.
caught your leg.
What?
The roller coaster caught your leg. You're saying?
No. I thought it was closer than it was. So it's like with flying that, you don't trust your eyes. You got to trust the instrument. So I had a way of knowing where it was that I didn't trust it. It sounded like it was there. I'm like, I don't have time to jump up and land on this platform. So I just went straight down under the tracks and dropped 15 feet.
Oh, Jesus,
broke
man.
the ankles again. My poor body. You talk about, I had a total hip replacement last November. It got so bad I couldn't walk that year, the pain. And I'm like, no, I'm too young for a hip replacement, doctor. But that's the best surgery you can get, boy. I tell you what, I'm
Really?
I can't tell. I've ever had a problem. I'm not as limber as I was, but I will say that, because you're not allowed to stretch after 6 months or something. But we live with it, and I think it was all worth it.
Nice. And the one thing I wanted to ask you about was I found this kind of fascinating. You were on, what was the TV show you were on, the cooking show, America's Worst Chef or something?
That was very recent.
Yeah.
Last year, or was it the year before? I lose track of time. I'm doing my acting thing, and there's a strike going on, and I was on a series, an Eli Roth scary series, which was still on Max, playing an exorcist, and we were going to have additional shows, and we got shut down for the strike. And I'm like, oh man, this sucks. And so I asked the union, well, what can we do? They said, well, you can do reality shows. So I am the world's worst cook. I'm really horrible. When I was single, I would throw everything in a bowl, turn on the stove high as it would go, stir it up. Didn't care what it tastes like. Throw on all the things that you need to eat with your 4 food groups and eat them. Yeah. And but I was on the road eating out my whole life. And then I marry a girl that was a great cook, and she doesn't allow me in the kitchen at all. Period. I made a mess when she leaves to see grandkids or something. I've rent the microwave. I've done, but anyhow, so I auditioned and got on World's Worst Cooks. I think it's pronounced that way.
Yeah.
It is Worst Cooks in America.
World's Worst Cooks.
Season 27. And
it's great. Yeah, 27
beautiful
seasons,
lady,
man. That's crazy.
Chef Ann Burrell, I think I'm saying it right.
Yeah.
She died here just 2 weeks ago.
That's nuts, man.
And it's just so sad. She was a great lady. Yeah. We had a lot of fun on the show. Of course, she's yelling at you, and we're hamming it up. The bad cooking was all real. People think I made that stuff up. We hammed up the performance a little bit.
Sure.
It was all real, but we're really shocked. And I had a great time though, and some great memories. And sadly, she was going to take a break from the show, but she told me she wanted me to come back, and so did the producers. They occasionally do reunion shows.
Sure,
The worst of the worst, and they're going to have me back because we had such a good time. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back. I thought, is this really the image I want with my acting? Yeah. But now that we lost her, I'm like, you know what? If I'd known, I'd definitely gone back quicker. Very nice lady.
Yeah, it's a shame she died. I didn't realize that show had so many seasons. That's crazy.
Nor did I. I've heard it once or twice before that. I didn't really watch it.
Yeah, because Triple D's got to be at what, like 30 seasons? Like Diners, Drive-Ins has to be at least like 30-something seasons.
Yeah, it's got to be. I haven't seen that in years. Is it still on?
I think so. I think it's actually like shot in like fucking 8K now. I think they really stepped up the production on D3.
Interesting.
But yeah, let's set some tricks, man. Let's close this thing out strong.
All right, you're on.
Here he is.
Sorry to make you wait so long.
Oh, that's okay. Happy to help.
What made me think of this when you're talking about the spikes and cutting and a little bit of rope magic today? Okay, but you're going to be my assistant.
Oh, nice.
Speaking of, I don't know if you can get this. We just stabbed my neighbor over here. Maybe you've heard of the famous trick where the rope floats up into the air. Someone climbs the rope. That'll be you.
Okay.
Disappears, and then the rope falls. Have you heard of this?
No.
The East Indian rope trick, very famous. Well, that's okay because I don't know that one, but that would have been a good trick. All right. Now, I really do know some weird things with rope, though. For example, have you ever wondered what happens when you take the ends off the rope? You can actually get a looper of rope when you do that. But to do the trick I want to do today, I'm going to need 2 ropes. They have to be exactly the same. This is where you come into the trick. So would you hand me the center of the rope? Just got to give me the middle.
Right here.
All right. Mr. Microphone, would you agree? If we cut it here, that would give us 2 the same length. All right. That's the spot selected. Very careful. Take the scissors. Don't cut the fingers. Just cut the rope. Grab the scissors.
I'm going to give you a nice injury.
Right there. Don't cut the mic cord either. Right? All right. But we're a little off on the length. That's okay. I'm going to have you even these out. Let me line them up straight. and ask you to cut this off right here. That should do it right there.
Where you want?
Right there. I think that should make them exactly the same length. All right. Now we have 2 ropes. Okay, we need 2 ropes exactly the same length. Would you mind cutting that right there? Just give it a good cut. There we go.
Right there.
That's a way to do it. Now we have 2 ropes exactly the. Have you ever had something called deja vu? Yeah. Have you ever had something called deja vu? Yeah. Have you ever had something? Yeah, you heard that one coming, I bet. Here we go. Just say abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
All right, we're just going to start all over. Here we go. Now, to do the trick I really want to do today, we're going to need 2 ropes. They have to be the same length. That's where you come into the trick. Grab the middle of the rope and just lift it up, hand it to me. Now, would you agree if we cut the rope here, we'd have 2 the same length? Like pretty fair. Would you grab the scissors again, cut it just like you did before? There we go. And darn, we're a little off on the length. Would you mind cutting it? You know what? Rather than go through all of that again, I think if we just do the trick, we can actually correct the length. So let me give you a good view. You look like a good knot, right? Hold on to the end of the rope real tight. Don't let go. Watch the knot. You can let go now. A lot of people think it's a trick knot. That is why I always like to untie it. Come here. So everybody can see that it is indeed a real knot.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Matt, would you like to put 2 ropes back together yourself?
Yeah.
I know you can do it. Big fan of yours. You know, I got a carpet named after you outside my door at home too. All right. I'll get the signature for you. Always been a big fan, by the way. Thank you for having me. All right,
sure,
we're going to tie the ends of that one. We'll give it a cut. And I want you to pick a rope. Do you want to use the one I just tied and cut or the rope I'm going to cut right now?
I'll take the one you're going to cut right now.
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Let me get that a cut. I always give you a chance to change your mind. Would you like to change your mind or keep the mind that you have?
Okay, I'll keep the one that
You're going to keep his mind. All right, here we go. So we're going to tie these together for you, just like that. All right. Hold it on the end. All right. So you won't be able to do the magic wave because you got a mic. So instead say the magic words.
Abracadabra.
Alakazam.
Alakazam.
Say, oh, what a great magician I am.
What a great magician.
Now, you don't have a hand, so take it in your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Pull the knot off like a real escape artist. Ah, you did it.
There you go. There we go.
Good job, man.
Oh, it's done.
You can keep that as a souvenir.
I will.
It might be worth pennies someday, right?
Yeah, how'd you even do that? That's crazy.
You did it. You did it.
True. Magic's in me.
We can do another trick if you want. I'll show you how one is done.
No, I would never reveal.
Do you want me to show you how a trick is done today?
If you want. I thought magicians get killed
over?
for that.
This is a special show. It's the secret.
True.
Podcast.
Yeah, show me the secret.
You
Show
got
me
to
the secret trick.
All right. Can we take a little break and we'll
take a break. Take a break.
All
We'll
right.
end it up.
We'll be right back with the secret for the secret broadcast show. Okay. All right.
Oh, we're cutting back in. Let me know. All right, we're back. The interview portion. I think the interview portion is concluded, but now we're doing tricks.
All right. No,
It's a good interview. That was a great interview.
I had fun.
Thank you.
I had fun. I will talk in the microphone, but we're going to give it off in a minute. But first, a little more magic we promised. We're going to be doing some miracles right now, many as they were done thousands of years ago. Maybe you heard of this one. It's called walking on water. Thank you. No, I was about to tell you, you just got promoted. We do hold both of these things now. Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, he's lovely assistant and Mr. Microphone.
So beautiful. Okay. This is definitely one of the things we're not going to have a relationship with our assistant, by the way. In case
I don't know, man. If you put me around all those carnies, it could get kind of weird out there.
All right. So what are we going to do? Well, this is a secret podcast. So I'm going to reveal a secret today.
Oh, here we go.
Show you magic tricks, show you how it's done for this trick. You need a handkerchief, a scarf, and a left hand. You put the handkerchief or scarf all the way in the hand like this.
Okay.
You make something called a magic pass. We know what a pass is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go up to Mr. Microphone and go, hi. No, not doing that kind of pass. We've already established that. A magic pass. You do this. Now we have an egg, and the scarf or handkerchief has jumped into my pocket.
Yo.
Right. As promised. All right. You ready to see the secret?
Let's see the secret.
Actually, I bought it by mistake. If you ladies need some out there, this is the secret. You put that. All right. Different secret. All right. Yes, the secret to the magic trick, and this is a trick egg. It's a plastic egg laid by a very sick bird, and there's a hole in the back of the egg. Kind of a letdown when you see how these work. And you need 2 handkerchiefs to do the trick. All right, here's what you do. You hide the egg in your hand, hold both hands the same, you come out in a natural way. So whatever looks natural.
For sure.
Take the handkerchief, wave it around like this. Actually, that depends on the company that you're you don't want to drop it either.
True.
Anyway, sorry. You're getting paid, right? That's all that matters. Okay, here we go.
He's actually really wealthy.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we could renegotiate this relationship after all. You didn't tell me that. Okay. So
He's in the top 3%, I would say, in the country.
wow. 3% of what?
Earners.
Earners, really. Amazing.
Dick's,
Congratulations.
apparently has a huge dick. I don't make it weird, but
This
he has a
job
huge
pays
dick.
a lot. Huh?
He's got a huge
Wow.
dick, too.
Oh, yes.
Money, big dick.
You got, I guess you're getting a lot of fans right now. Gosh, I didn't plug my Instagram. You guys follow me on Instagram.
Plug it.
Entertainer Steve Crawford. Entertainer. You type entertainer, I'll pop up.
There you
Why
go.
did I do that? Because I'm from Facebook country and I'm trying to get some new friends out here. So
Got you.
Nice to meet you guys. Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah, you hide the egg in your hand. You hold both hands the same. Come out in a natural way. Take the handkerchief and you start placing it in your hand. But we know it's going where?
In the egg.
In the egg. It actually goes all the way into the egg. There we go. You make the pass, you show them the egg, and you tell everyone that the scarf or handkerchief has jumped into your pocket. Now, there's a couple of quick rules.
But why do you show him the egg? Can't show the egg.
Well, you show them that it has turned into an egg. But there's a few tips. He's got a point. First of all, don't show anybody the back side of the egg, right?
True,
That's
true,
important.
The Wild Wild West.
And make sure the handkerchief in your pocket's the same color as that one that's in the egg. 'Cause
right.
If this doesn't match that, you're not going to fool them. But what do you do if they see the back of the egg? I mean, where you guys are standing, you can see the red. Well, you don't tell them it's a handkerchief. You can tell them you cut your finger, you're painting it, chicken banged his head trying to get out. I may even be a magician, but as you probably got to feel for, I'm an honest guy. I try to be honest. So here's what I like to do. Make a real magic pass. Peel the hole off the egg like that. Crack the egg so everybody can see.
Hold on a second, brother. Yo, you tricked
That
us.
is a real egg.
You
I
tricked
missed
us.
one. Oh,
Sorry.
gravity's
I got
strong
you,
over
I got
here.
you, I
Sorry.
got you.
And that's what I like to do. And that's a magic secret.
You tricked us, bro. You didn't give us the secrets. That's awesome. That's a good secret. That's
I'm a magician. What do you mean? I lie a lot, right? But it's a trick. All right.
That was pretty cool.
Thank you very much.
Hell
for
yeah.
having me.
Thank you, Steve.
It's been fun.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.
That was great.